brother, we gotta line up and do it one more time. Game 82, the finale to what has ultimately been a fairly disappointing regular season. Let's lock in, let's have some fun, and let's talk about it, y'all. Let's start the dang show. Yep. We are back one more time here in the regular season to watch our Knicks take on the Brooklyn Nets. The lowly Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets that I don't even know who's on their team. I just saw that they showed off Drew Timme, who's played the last 8 games for them. Tonight will be his 9th game. Shout out Drew Timme. If y'all watch college basketball, Gonzaga legend Drew Timme will be playing tonight for the Brooklyn Nets. Tonight is obviously a throwaway game. The Knicks are resting 4 of their 5 starters. The only reason why Mikal Bridges is playing is obviously he's the Iron Man of the NBA. He doesn't miss games, so he's gonna play, but he's gonna be on limited minutes. He'll be in there. He'll come out early. He'll come back in, get around 15 to 20 minutes, I suppose. He's not gonna be in there to do much. So tonight, what is tonight? Tonight is essentially a showcase for the younger players. So I'm actually expecting to have some fun tonight, right? We haven't really had a ton of fun. We didn't have fun against Cleveland. We didn't have fun against Detroit. We didn't have fun against Boston. It's kind of been rocky. It's been up and down. We recognize that, of course. We're not feeling great going into the playoffs. We got a lot of questions, and I'm sure y'all are going to bring up in the chat. We'll talk about all the things y'all want to talk about. We'll go through it all. But you know, like, I'm looking forward to some Dottier. I'm looking forward to some McCullough. That's what we got tonight. It's what we got tonight. And y'all know I love the rookies, so I'm going to hype it up. I'm going to have some fun. I hope you're going to have some fun. We're obviously locked into the 3. Detroit is locked into the 6. So we know the playoff matchups. Nothing we have to pay attention to tonight. We know what to expect come, April 19th is the first playoff, or the first day the playoffs start. So we'll see when they schedule the next game. Whether it'll be a national TV game, likely will be, because a lot of people picking the Detroit Pistons to upset the Knicks in that first round. So we'll just have to tune in. Knicks in 5, like I've been saying. I've been saying it. But I get some of y'all are worried. I get that some of y'all think, hey, they don't even deserve to win a first round matchup against the Pistons. But hey, man, Knicks in 5. I'm really not afraid of the Pistons. Really not afraid. With that being said, how's everybody doing? Stealth Genetics, what's up, Stealth? Susan, Dutch B, Ernest Cash, what's up, Ernest? Karen, of course, what's up, Karen? Old Man 803, what's up, old man? Lionel Monas, what's up, Lionel? All right, let's get to it. Susan said we got the first round. I believe so. I believe the only thing that's in question is what's going to happen in the second round. You're obviously hoping for a competitive series in the second round. You're hoping not to get absolutely curb stomped by the Boston Celtics, but you never know. Kwame Robertson, what's up, Kwame? Justice's dad, what's up, Justice? Angela Harding, what's up, Angela? One last time before the playoffs. One last time. Justice's dad said it's been a fun one this year. I've tried to make it as fun as possible. You know, it's been up and down. It's been rocky. There's been disappointing moments. There've been disappointing players. But you know. Stovjanic said champion for 25. I need Dottier for 20 plus tonight. I need my man Paco Dottier to come out and make Tom Thibodeau look like a fool. Kwame Robinson said, I think the Knicks win, but it's probably 7 games. I could see it going 7 games. My prediction is Knicks in 5. Like, legitimately. It's a little bit of a meme to say it, but, like, legitimately, I do believe the Knicks are going to be the Pistons in about 5 games. But I get the worry. I get all of the things that point to the fact that, like, it should go 7. The Pistons should have a chance to knock off the Knicks, especially when you consider the fact that the Pistons are literally playing their best basketball of the season as they end it, and the Knicks are playing literally their worst basketball of the season as they end the season. So both teams going in complete opposite directions. I think everything in a vacuum, the Knicks far more talented than the Pistons, should be able to pull that series out fairly easily, and yet we're all sitting here like, I hope they win, right? Nobody feels all that confident, but here we are. The starters for the Knicks: Cam Payne, Miles McBride, Mikal Bridges, PJ Tucker, and Precious Achiuwa. Not a single young player in the starting lineup. Thanks, Tibbs. Why start PJ Tucker? Why? Why do that? Why do that? Why do that? Why do that? Why? This is literally game 82. Why not have Kolek start with Dadier and then bring the vets off the bench? What is the purpose? What is the purpose? Michael Rogers, what's up, Michael? Justice's dad said, no Cat, no Josh, no JB, no Mitch, no Anunoby either. They're sitting all their starters except for Mikal Bridges, who's going to keep his Iron Man streak going, of course. Justice's dad said, PJ starting. Yeah, why? Why? Just bring him off the bench. Start Dadier. Why start him? Why start him? Chi-Chi said Tibbs doesn't get it. He doesn't get it, Chi-Chi. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. And I'm sure we'll get into the Tom Thibodeau discussion and evaluate his season, his regular season as a whole, and whatnot, and how disappointing he's been. He's probably been the most disappointing person of the season for me. Tibbs, to me, is by far has performed the worst, and has been by far the most disappointing part of this team. You know, I would have Tibbs, and then I'd have everybody else you want to list. You want to list Bridges. You want to list Towns' defense this year. You want to list, like, Precious Achiuwa. But Angel A1's Roman. What's up, Angel? Here we go. We're off with the tip. And that's it. Okay, I thought Mikal was going to get around 20 minutes tonight. 15 to 20 minutes. He was going to be out there. He was going to, you know, maybe just walk around a little bit, chop it up with the young guys. No, they came out, they won the tip, and that was it. They immediately fouled, they got him out of there. So technically, Bridges starts the game. He plays less than 1 minute, but Landry Shamet is going to essentially be the starter tonight as he comes in for Bridges. I don't know who any of these Nets players are. I'll look them up. We'll get to it at some point, but we're really going to be focusing in as a shot clock violation to start the game. We're really going to be focusing on Knicks young players. So don't hate me tonight, but I'm really not interested in even calling the game. We could just chat, talk about everything that's going on with the season. Y'all can throw all the things you want to talk about. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Stope Janek said, I blame iHeart, that bastard. Absolutely. It is 1,000% his fault. 1,000% Isaiah Hartenstein's fault. I've done the Isaiah Hartenstein rant multiple times this season, and all of it is true. All of it is true. None of it is emotional. That guy ran away from the Knicks, betrayed an organization and a team that gave him everything he's ever wanted and everything he's ever asked for. They were essentially going to make him the starting center of what was going to be a championship contending team going into the season, and he balked at it to come off the bench for the OKC Thunder. Okay. Achiuwa starts off the game with a dunk. Cam Payne also started off the game with a floater, and then Nick Claxton gets a little layup in. Rock Range, what's up, Rock Range? Justice's dad said, appreciation stream for you, Chef. Well done doing this, bro. I appreciate you, Justice's dad. We do them because I like having fun. I'm watching the games anyway. Might as well. Producing and doing live content is something that I literally went to school for and was interested in. Came out of college during COVID season, so there weren't a whole lot of job flying around, a whole lot of job opportunities flying around during that time. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna start streaming to try and keep my tool belt fresh, understand what it's like to produce on your own, and to do it live with an actual audience and not just in school and whatnot. And then it kind of just evolved into this because I didn't want to stream while Knicks games were on because I wanted to watch the Knicks because we're diehard fans, and then that just kind of snowballed. I was streaming while watching Knicks games, and then it kind of just turned into this, and now this is kind of what we do. It's kind of what we do now. Justice's dad said, Pressure's looking like a donkey meatball. I mean, it's the kind of game he's going to thrive in where none of it matters. None of this means anything, obviously, right? This is a showcase game for some younger guys, which is why it's baffling to me that you start PJ Tucker and Campaign when it's like you could just bring those guys off the bench. You could just bring them off the bench. You know, like that's fine. Why start PJ Tucker? What is starting PJ Tucker doing for you? Just start Dadier. Just start McCullough. Just start one of the young guys. That everybody is. We're only watching the game tonight for the young guys. Like I said, tonight is essentially a showcase game. It is game 82. There are no stakes. There is nothing that matters. We're just here to watch the young guys and hang out, right? So, Subgenic said, PA was disappointing as well. Who's PA? Oh, Precious Achua was disappointing as well. He didn't take advantage of the lack of depth and lock in on improving his game. OG embraced being a max player. He did. And I've talked about before as well as Precious being my most disappointed in player that I've been. I'm more disappointed in Precious Achua than I am in Mikal Bridges, probably because my expectation for Mikal Bridges wasn't all that high coming in. I was hopeful. I was like, hey, man, he can take a step back. He can knock down the three. He could focus in more on defense. And that obviously hasn't been the case. And he's been disappointing. But Precious Achua was like, brother, this is your opportunity. With Mitchell Robinson going to miss majority of the season, coming back from injury, you are the backup center. And he got outplayed by Jericho Sims. And he got outplayed by Ariel Hugporty. And it's like, all right, so I guess Precious Achua is just not going to be a part of this team or this future, and we're going to be moving on from him at some point. Not even at some point. This is, the last season he'll play for the Knicks. We'll probably move on from him after this. Rockabye, baby. What's up, Rockabye? Rockabye said, but we panicked after iHeart left. There was no rush to make that cat, especially if they wanted Devo. There actually was a rush. You had to make the trade at that time, Rockabye Baby, because of the way the obviously now infamous salary cap works with the second apron and all the things. It was the only time they were going to be financially capable of making that trade. And even at the time, they had to get excruciatingly complicated and tricky in terms of signing guys, pulling guys out from overseas to sign them to a contract, to include them in a deal so that they could be cut later and then they can go back overseas. It was an extremely complicated matter, and it was the only time they could make that deal. They wouldn't be able to make it in season. They wouldn't be able to make it this coming off season because the salaries are going to go up and it would no longer match, and then you'd be a lot closer to the second apron. So you needed to get it on the books this off season if it was going to be a move you were going to make. Now we can talk about whether we think they should have made the Towns deal or that deal for Karl-Anthony Towns, because, whether you like Towns or not is a different conversation. But they didn't panic. They were just like, okay, so now we pivot. This is the next thing I have to do. And they had to make it at that time or it wasn't going to be available. It was not going to be available after that. Justice's dad said, Bridges has in his contract to start the game for a nice bonus. No, he just wanted to keep the streak alive. He's the resident Iron Man of the NBA. He's literally played in every single game. Going back to high school, he's never missed a high school game. He's never missed a college game. And now he's never missed an NBA game. That's just an impressive streak to keep going, especially if you're healthy. Like, hey, put me out there. I'll foul. I'll come right out. No big deal. Mr. New York, what's up, Mr. New York? My man's in the building. He's in the building. I'm going to try to keep up the scoreboard and then mention if anything interesting happens. But with no young guys out on the court, like the youngest guy is Deuce McBride, and we know what he's capable of, so. Achua has been the focal point of the offense, which is crazy to me, but, I guess we've seen that before too. Gigi said, not even watching the game because Tibbs already is going to piss me off. Gonna cook some oxtail, listen to you, Chef. I appreciate you, Chi-Chi. I mean, I'm half watching the game as well. We do these streams for these games because we don't miss games. We watch every single game anyway, but there's nothing to watch outside of the young guys, and none of the young guys got to start the game tonight, so the start of this game means nothing. If Campaign knocks down a jump shot, I'm going to wait until Dottier or McCullough comes in before I start giving a damn about calling this game tonight. So send in your questions. Let's just hang out. Let's talk about basketball. Let's talk about the league. Let's talk about the Knicks and how you guys felt about the season as a whole. Self-Genetic said, let me know when there's Pac-Man or Kolek sighting. That is also why I'm here, Self-Genetic, so I would definitely let everybody know. Because you'll hear the hype in my voice. You will hear the hype in my voice for sure. Rockabye Baby said, we need to strengthen the bench during the offseason. Yeah. I mean, that was something very evident, once they finally put the team together, when they signed Payne and they signed Shamit, and it was like, okay, these are our 8th and 9th men, and we were all like, ooh, okay, journeyman guys is the 8th and 9th men for a team that's probably looking to compete for a championship this year. Like, that may not work out this season, but we could rely on our starters and our strength and our talent in order to carry the lack of depth. But at the same time, if you are lacking depth, the Knicks did draft 4 rookies, something that this front office hasn't historically done. As Shamit lined up another 3. Shout out Landry Shamit for finding his 3-point shot again. This front office doesn't take a ton of draft picks. They usually consolidate them, take 1, maybe 2. Sometimes none, right? They had 2 years in a row where they just skipped the draft, and they were like, no, we're good. So in this last draft, knowing like, hey, we just traded a bunch of pieces in order to put this team together, this nucleus together, let's draft 4 young guys, because then they'll be on controllable contracts. They'll be on the books for multiple years. So we could utilize that. That's how we'll build out our depth. And that's how great teams build out their depth, because once you become a great team, you start paying players ridiculous contracts, and then suddenly you don't have space to sign good role players. You no longer have cap space to sign good role players come the offseason, and so how do you do it? You either have to do it through trades or by drafting them. And the Knicks will obviously look to do it through trades in the offseason, and they look to improve their depth utilizing the draft last year when they took 4 rookies. And here's the thing, all 4 rookies look like they could be legitimate NBA players, which is something you don't normally see, right? And in saying so, none of the 4 rookies outside of maybe Ari Hook-Porty, who got some run when the Knicks were down a bunch of injuries, as a part of like legit regular rotation minutes. Ari Hook-Porty was really the only guy who was given a chance to be a part of the rotation this year. Kolek really wasn't. We were frustrated with that all year and whatnot, but especially with the up and down nature of Campaign's game. But there was that. There was no Kolek. There was no Dottier, despite him having a good preseason. Shannon lined up another 3, by the way. A good preseason and like, he had 1 bad game, and Tom Thibodeau was like, get him out of there. And it's like, all right. Chi-Chi said, seeing Jay Howard, Juwan Howard's on the bench, on the Brooklyn bench, really? How about him coaching the Knicks? I don't think the Knicks would be all that interested in Juwan Howard being their next head coach. Look, we could talk about the head coaching thing now if you want. But if they decide to move on from Tom Thibodeau, which I'm not confident they will do, I'm not confident at all that this front office will move on from Tom Thibodeau. Even though I probably want them to, I know a lot of you guys want them to, I know the general consensus around the team and the fan base right now is that we want the team to move on from Tom Thibodeau. We feel like he's the number 1 guy holding us back right now in terms of putting players in position to be successful. But if we have the conversation about moving on from Tibbs, it obviously leads to the conversation of who's going to be the next head coach. And that is obviously a scary proposition, because the next head coach that they hire will likely be a a head coach that's either really young and has minimal experience or a rookie head coach that has no experience. It's probably going to be one of those two. So even if they were interested in Juwan Howard, he was the head coach of Michigan, obviously, when his son was there. Obviously not the head coach now, as he's on the Brooklyn bench, as you said. I didn't know that, but I guess he's on the Brooklyn bench. If that's the case, they will obviously interview him. But even still, Juwan Howard has no NBA head coaching experience. He'll be a rookie head coach. As Drew Timme knocks down a three. Shout out Drew Timme. He'll be a rookie head coach. And it'll be like, all right, what can you do, Juwan Howard? What can you do as a head coach? Because we have no idea. We know what he's like as a college coach, but coaching college and coaching the NBA are so incredibly different. It's part of the reason why you see coaches be supremely successful in college and then fail out of the NBA. It's supremely different. So even if you like Juwan Howard, even if I like Juwan, even if we could look at him and go, he's interesting, it's a huge move to move on from a guy who's a good head coach in Tom Thibodeau. Obviously has his flaws. Maybe the team hit a ceiling being coached under him and whatnot. But Juwan Howard is a complete unknown in the NBA as a head coach. And that's going to be the issue because whether it's him or Johnny Bryant or Dan Hurley or any of these other guys that have come up in conversations, who was the other? Sam Cassell was the other assistant coach we were talking about. Any of these guys are going to be a wild swing. A wild swing. And scared money don't make money. You're going to have to take a risk here. You're going to have to take a risk here. They played it safe the first time around 5 years ago with their head coaching search, and they were like, let's just get the good coach of Tom Thibodeau in to make us a good team. And he did that. And that was his job. But now the job has changed. Now the job is we have to fight for a championship. And it doesn't seem like Tom Thibodeau's the guy capable of doing that with a team right now. So, Alyssa, what's up, Alyssa? Justice's dad said, PJ, please take a shot. We don't care about PJ shooting, man. It's crazy to me that PJ was the guy who got the call to start tonight. So Chu was down the lane, knocks down a low floater again. Steljanik said, I see him making trades before sacking Tibbs. I could see that too. Steljanik. But here's the thing. It's really difficult for them to make trades with the way their financial situation is set up because you're going to, unless it's trading off someone like Bridges or Towns, they're not trading Brunson. Or maybe Josh Hart. Maybe they look to trade Josh Hart, which I doubt. He's the heart and soul of the team right now. The utilization of him this season has been piss poor from Tom Thibodeau, which has kind of maligned the things he does well. By relying on him so much, Tom Thibodeau has negated the positive aspects of Josh Hart's game. And he's kind of made him the scapegoat of the team because it's like, Josh Hart is out there not taking threes again. Here we go. But, there comes a point where I could circle back any issue this team has had this year back to the coach, which is an issue. But back to Stuff Genetics where he said I can see them making trades before sacking Tibbs. I could also see that. The issue is just they made all their trades. They put together a good team, a really good team, a great team even, some may even say, that the team has absolutely been capped by the head coach's inability to sort of get creative or even try things, like not even to get so crazy as to say, I need him to be more creative, but to not even try things has been crazy this year. I saw some stats online that I'm going to bring up. We'll look at them together, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Justice's dad said, it's a work on Cam, sham, wow, and precious moments. It's almost like we should probably be limiting the minutes of Campaign and Shamit and Achua because we know what they can do. And we should be focusing on playing guys like McCullough and Dottier and Beauchamp and some Anton Watson, I guess. Like those guys should be the guys playing today. And instead, PJ Tucker is going to play like 30, 35 minutes tonight. That's crazy. That's bad coaching. That's bad coaching. Gigi said, I swear if the Knicks lose to the Nets G League team, Tibbs better not make it to the playoffs. I mean, They got PJ Tucker and Precious Achiuwa out there, man. Like, they're not playing anybody either. This game means nothing. It should be a showcase. It should be a fun night or a fun afternoon, because we're playing games in the afternoon here. And Tom Thibodeau is making it more difficult. No one is tuning in to watch PJ Tucker play 35 minutes today. You know? Gigi said, Hart doesn't need to get traded, but come off the bench as he's supposed to. I agree. Since 2015, there's no sane NBA team in the league that would start Hart. But the thing about that too, Chi-Chi, is like it's not even about starting Hart. Josh Hart could start. That's fine. He's a starting caliber player. But the reason why a lot of us want him coming off the bench and why it's such a talking point is because what the real conversation is, Josh Hart should not be playing 35 minutes. He should be playing 25 to 30. He should have 10 less minutes. Hold on. My man Bakum Dadier is in the game. Hold on. We're pausing the conversation. Dadier is in the game. Get the ball to my man Dadier. Campaign inside to Achiuwa. All right, we don't care. Campaign to Achiuwa. We don't care. But the thing about Josh Hart is, you know, like if he's playing 35 minutes and he's not confident in shooting the three-point shot, and this team made 2 seismic trades this offseason to emphasize three-point shooting and spacing the floor, and then Tom Thibodeau completely neutralized that by playing Josh Hart exclusively with the starters. And it's like, brother, they traded for Towns and for Bridges, 2 guys known for being good three-point shooters to great three-point shooters, and you decided to match their lineups with a guy who is not guarded by defenses. So it just negates their ability to shoot three-point shots. You just negated all of the work the front office did. The head coach negated it by having Josh Hart in the lineup as often as he does. And it's just as often as he does. We all love Josh Hart. Like you said, Chi-Chi, he doesn't need to be traded. No one's asking for that. No rational person's asking for Josh Hart to be traded. We're simply just asking for him to play a little bit less. Just even a little bit less. Not even a lot of bit less. Just a little bit less. George Jones, what's up, George Jones? George Jones said, we win 50 games and all I hear is constant nitpicking. Because they probably should have won 55 games, George. You know? Like, it's cool. They won 50 games, which is great. They won it in back-to-back years, which they haven't done since the 90s, which is a obvious step in the right direction in terms of your franchise. The Knicks were a dumpster fire of a franchise for 20 years, but don't be satisfied with 50 wins, George. You should be expecting more from this team, especially with the moves that they made in the offseason. Right? Complacency is the death of improvement. You should be looking for this team to be better than they have been. Justice's dad said, I would hope the second quarter will be the other 5 off the bench. Yeah, I mean, we got Dadier. Koleg just subbed in as well. So we got the two rookies in there. Rockabye Baby said, having to give up Devo threw our chemistry off. Yeah, I mean, I would argue the introduction of Karl Anthony Towns as a replacement for Julius Randle is what threw the chemistry off, because they're fundamentally different players in terms of where they're most effective and how they play, more so than losing DiVincenzo. They miss DiVincenzo, obviously, but it's not like DiVincenzo is the linchpin holding this team together. This team just hasn't been optimized. You know, last year's team was optimized because it was very simple. It was a very simple team. This year's team, you should get more creative in how you utilize guys, and Tom Thibodeau hasn't been creative in how he utilizes guys. And so sometimes we watch guys play and we're like, how come he's just standing in the corner all night? How come he's just standing on the wing all night? How come he's not attacking? How come he's just, every time he gets the ball, he gives it back up? And it's like, brother, that's coaching. That's coaching. Nick Yak, what's up, Yak? Came to hit the like button. I appreciate you. I understand why the views and the total amount of people in the stream watching the game is going to be significantly lower today, because this game means nothing. We're playing against the terrible Brooklyn Nets team, and we're playing nobody. Right? All 5 starters are not playing tonight. So, I'm here because we do every Knicks game, but also I want to watch the rookies. I do want to watch them. I do want to watch them. We're not even calling the game. We're just kind of hanging out and talking about the season as a whole. Mark Haven, what's up, Mark? Chichi said, I might be wrong, but didn't Hart get the chance to start when Randall got injured? Yes. Josh Hart was coming off the bench last season for the Knicks and was inserted into the starting lineup when Randall got hurt. Yeah, he was inserted into the starting lineup when Randall got hurt, and we were essentially starting OG at the 4, with Josh Hart at the 3, with Devo at the 2, Brunson at the 1, and then obviously Hartenstein at center. The ball is constantly finding its way to Precious Achiuwa, and he's putting up points, which is cool, man. Happy for you, Precious, but like, we're not here for you, big dog. We're not here for you. Chris Rowe, what's up, Chris? Dutch B said, imagine Devo in, Josh Hart, Toll, no turn. Does Dadier go to the basket? Gets the foul in the N1. Okay, Dadier. Okay, Dadier, hold on. Let me rewind it for Dadier. What'd you do? What'd you do, big Pac-Home? What'd you do, Pac-Man? What'd you do, big dog? Let me see it. So they're playing some defense here. Where's Dadier? He's in the corner, guarding off ball. Gonna drive to the basket off glass, can't get it to go. Kolik with the rebound and the hit ahead to Dadier. Dadier one-on-one, leans in, gets the foul in the arm, baby. Gets the foul in the arm. I love to see it. Now tell me you knocked down this free throw. He missed the free throw. Come on, Dadier. I can't be hyping you up and then you missing free throws. Kolik, beautiful pass inside to Dadier, reverse layup, can't get it to go. Gets his own offensive rebound and then gets fouled. That young man's gonna be good, man. He's gonna be real good. DCO Love, what's up, DCO? Keith Modeste, what's up, Keith? Rockabye, baby. So we definitely have to get more toughness on this team. Sure. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say no to that. But I just don't know if toughness is the issue with the team. Like, it's something that, like, yeah, you wish they would push and shove and throw a little, some more elbows. But I don't think toughness is the reason that they've been disappointing this year. I don't think it's an aspect that has led to disappointment this year. Dadier knocks down both free throws here, though. Yes, sir, Dadier. Yes, sir. Gigi said, is JB a true point guard or more of a shooting guard? What if Tibbs starts Kolek or Wright as point guard and JB is the shooting guard? I do think he's a point guard. I don't think Jalen Brunson's a shooting guard at all. He's definitely a point guard. You have to understand as well, Chi-Chi's, that like the modern NBA demands that if the ball is going to be in your hands, that you have to look to score. There are no true point guards in the NBA who are starters. Like, even if you look at Halliburton, who leads the league in assists and is looked at as a true point guard, the guy still averages 20 a game, or close to it, whatever it is, 18, 19, whatever it is. So if you're a great shooter, like Steph Curry, Steph Curry doesn't start alongside another point guard. Steph Curry is the point guard of the team, but he also averages 30, That's just modern NBA. Jalen Brunson still averaged 7.3 assists or something, 7.5 assists this year. Like, that's perfectly serviceable as a point guard. More than serviceable. Serviceable is 6 assists. It's more than serviceable. He was half an assist away of averaging 8 assists a game, which is very good as a starting point guard. I don't think he's Shamet knocked down another 3. Look at Landry Shamet, baby. Look at Landry Shamet. I don't think that's an issue at all. Now, the merits of starting another point guard alongside of him to have a double point guard lineup to alleviate some of the ball handling for Brunson, and therefore you could play him off ball a little more. Same with Curry, right? Now, Curry has guys like Draymond. He's had guys like KD who can play out of the high post and find him moving off ball, and Brunson's a very good off ball mover. So the merits of playing him alongside another point guard are definitely there. They're definitely there. You could play him alongside of DeLon Wright. Part of the reason why a lot of people have been chanting and hollering for McBride to start instead of Josh Hart is because, one, that's the official 5-out lineup, which Tom Thibodeau just hadn't utilized at all this year. And it would allow Jalen Brunson to play off ball with all of the attention that it brings, right? So he could play on ball, obviously doing his thing, but it would also allow him to actually run off some screens, get open for three-point shots off ball. So the merit of starting him alongside another guard, especially even a ball handling guard, is there. It's great. But he's definitely a point guard, for sure. He's definitely a point guard. Yeah, because I'm expecting the Nets to attack inside out, knocking down threes. You expected them to attack inside, not knocking down threes. I mean, it's early in the game. It's a very relaxed game out there right now, obviously, because it's essentially a scrimmage. It's a showcase. It's all the things, right? Oh, Dutch B said driving and texting, bad connection. Don't worry about it, Dutch B. Just get to where you're going, and then come join us in the chat. Michael Brown, what's up, Michael? I just gave the Nets our 2 points. I'm gonna be bad on the scoreboard today and the timer because I'm not focusing on it at all. So my bad, Michael Brown. We're really just here to see the rookies play, and Dottie had some stuff. Kolek had an assist or two. Actually, let's pull up the box score so we can check it out and keep track of it. Nicky X said Shaman is smoking hot, which is phenomenal. Going into the playoffs. You're going to need somebody who's shooting it well. Landry Shaman with 12 points. He's 4 for 4 from 3. You'll love to see it. Dottier with 4 points. Kolek hasn't taken a shot yet, but he's got 3 assists. Student said, are the starters playing in the Bucks game today? Probably not, because I think they're set, Susan. I think all the playoff matchups are set right now. And the only thing left to determine, I think, are the only thing left to determine. Shaman knocks down another one. My goodness. The only thing left to determine are the play-in matchups. No, nobody for the Bucks are playing today. They're starting Pete Nance, Kyle Kuzma, Pat Connaughton, Jamari Bouye, and AJ Green. Nobody for the Bucks are playing. Nobody for the. Well, yeah, actually, some people for the Pistons are playing. But they're getting smoked right now by the Bucks. Keith Modeste said there are going to be some upsets in this playoffs and is the usual suspects. Oh, it's the usual suspects. If we go to the standings and just check it out real quick, we can do this. I can do this. And then I can do this. Shamit's going to the foul line for 2 free throws. Shamit has been in fuego tonight, which is great to see. He's already up to 12 points. If we do this and we check out the standings, that's NHL. As Shamit knocks down both free throws, I think. We'll check it. If we check out the standings, everybody's locked into where they're going to be. So it's Cleveland versus whoever makes that out of the play-in. Boston versus whoever makes out of the play-in. Knicks versus Pistons. Pacers versus Bucks. That's locked in stone. All those matchups. As far as the West is the interesting thing because Minnesota, Golden State, the Clippers, and Denver are all battling it out to see who is going to end up 4 through 7, which is insane. Denver can end up 7. Actually, I don't know if they could end up 7 because of how the tiebreaker stuff works. I don't know who is ahead, what's going to happen. We're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out, but it's pretty cool. DeLon Wright is in the game, by the way. They kick it over to Dottier. Dottier pump fakes up top to the right. Get it back to Dottier. DeLon Wright gets it over to Kolek. Okay, well, Kolek has it. Coming to his left. Pump fakes. Kicks it back out to the lawn right. A straightaway three, a deep one. Can't get it to go. All right. I need the rookies to shoot it. I need the rookies to shoot it. That's what I need. Whoa, 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 whoa. My bad, y'all. My bad. They're gonna knock the stream down if I show you any more than that. But it is 43-44 now. PJ Tucker's back into the game, which is disappointing. Where's McCullough? Where's McCullough at? Kolek's going to drive it down, lean in, knocked out of his hands. All right. GG said NYPD averaged 14.6 points in the G League, but Tibbs can't give the Rook a shot. Who is NYPD? Who is NYPD? Are we talking about Dadier? Yeah. I mean, look, at this point in the year where you have your rotation fully healthy, it's a little too late for that. The fact that he didn't get an opportunity to start the year when Shamet was out and Achua was out, and you just selected, I'd rather go to an 8-man rotation than trust the rookie for 12 minutes a night, is insane. That's poor coaching. That's poor coaching. I don't care what anybody says. Electing to go to an 8-man rotation rather than giving the rookie 12 minutes a game is poor coaching. That's bad. That's a bad decision. That's a decision you can't make in the NBA. You can't. There's too many games. The schedule is too much of a grind. You're gonna wear these guys out. And honestly, the way we've watched Josh Hart the last month and a half of the season, dude looks worn out. So, Joseph Nelson, what's up, Joseph? Yeah, like I said, we have lots of assists, not many rebounds. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a scrimmage, so expect the shots to go down, right? When the pressure is off and neither team cares all that much about winning, guys can suddenly become marksmen from three who normally aren't very good shooters. Shade, what's up, Shade? Joseph said, Hart will be coming off the bench for the playoffs. Bridges should come off the bench as well. We know that defense wins games and creates offense as well. I say start Deuce and Mitch and you win. It's not a bad idea, Joseph. It's not a bad idea. The issue is that we know who the head coach is. We know who the head coach is. I was actually thinking about that earlier as well, Joseph. Is like, okay, what are the merits of starting Brunson, McBride, Anunoby, Towns, and Robinson? First of all, it makes you big. Second of all, it helps improve your defense because McBride has been a much better defender this year than Mikal Bridges has overall, especially at the point of attack. And it also gives you 5 out. Well, not 5 out because Robinson's not going to do that. But it gives you 4 knockdown, no hesitation shooters who are going to spread the court for you. And then one of the most dominant offensive rebounds in the league the last 2 or 3 years. Who's also a good rim protector. It'll help your defense. It'll help your offense. And yet, Tom Thibodeau wouldn't do it. Now, I get not starting McBride ahead of Bridges. But when you look at it, you're also bringing in 2 absolute super sub guys in Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart coming in off the bench to go up against other bench units, and it's like, oh, snap. Now, all of a sudden, maybe they're a little bit more unlocked, Yak said, doesn't 7 play 10? No, Yak. Actually, 7 plays 8. The winner of that becomes the 7 seed. And then the loser of that game, and then 9 plays 10. The winner of that game plays the loser of the 7-8 game. So 7 plays 8, 9 plays 10. Kolek in the paint misses a floater. Come on, Kolek. We're here for you, big dog. We're here for you. Yeah, I said either Miami against Cleveland or Orlando against the Celtics. We'll see. We'll probably do those games. Mayweather, what's up, Mayweather? Jared Allen played 1 minute to get to 82 games. A couple players will probably end up doing that today. Mikal Bridges did it tonight to keep his streak alive. Yak said, or is it 7 plays 8 for the 7 seed, loser plays winner of 9-10? That's it, Yak. That's exactly it. I'm sure the way I described it was a little bit more complicated, but you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. 7 plays 8, 9 plays 10, and then the winner of the 9-10 game plays the loser of the 7-8 game. Dadier picks up an offensive rebound, by the way. They kick it out the lawn right, a 3. He can't get it to go. I need to see Dadier start letting them shots fly. Put the ball in my hands. Everybody get out of my way. I'm going to isolate. Kolek tried to hit Shane come back door and turned it over. Turned it over. D. Grant said this is Tibbs' last stand as a head coach for the Knicks. I just don't know if the front office has it in them to fire a head coach at the end of the season. You know, at the end of this playoff run. We'll see. I have a hard time seeing it happen. I hope it does. I hope they respectfully move on, right? Thank you. Tip your cap to Tom Thibodeau. He did a serviceable job. He did a piss poor job this year. But overall, over the 5 years that you've been the head coach, you've been great. Been very good. You know? As Kolek and Dadier start turning it over. Come on, brothers. Come on. Kolek turning on the Jets, gets to the paint, draws the foul. Yes, sir. Yak said, what is great that both Orlando and Miami can play Cleveland or Boston? Yeah, true. Orlando is going to make it difficult for either Cleveland or Boston, despite the fact that they have been pretty putrid the second half of the year. And Miami is feisty. I don't know if they're going to make it difficult for Cleveland or Boston, but Miami is feisty. They're feisty. B. Grant said, Tibbs has been a good coach as a season coach, but in the playoffs, he has been terrible. I don't know if he's been terrible in the playoffs, but especially in the second rounds, he's been very, very clearly outcoached in second rounds. He's done, look, last season, who did he play in the first round last season? Oh, Philly. I thought he outcoached Nick Nurse. I thought he did a phenomenal job in that series, adjusting, making mid-game adjustments, making adjustments game to game. I thought he did a great job there. The season before that, where we played, was that the season we played the Cavs? The season we played the Cavs in the first round, I thought he was almost phenomenal in that series. He was fantastic. So he's done well in the playoffs, but then he got outcoached by Spoelstra. But at the end of the day, like, it's Eric Spoelstra. It's one of the best coaches in the league. And then he got a little bit outcoached by Rick Carlisle, but at the end of the day, they lost that series because of the injuries, not because Tibbs got outcoached. I don't think he's been terrible in the playoffs. I don't think he's been terrible in the playoffs at all. I think he's left some to be desired. He hasn't been great. I won't say that. He hasn't been great in the playoffs, but he hasn't been terrible. I think terrible is maybe a step too far. He's been fine. He's been fine. Yak said, there's your upset, either Miami and Orlando? I don't know about it, Yak. I don't know. I think Cleveland and Boston are too good to lose in the first round. I think the upset could be the Knicks. I think the more likely upset of one of the top three teams going down is going to be the Knicks versus Detroit. Detroit's good. Kolek left open in the right corner, and you can't knock down the three. Vertify, what's up, Vertify? Love a good bench unit basketball, like it ought to be. Tibbs will be back. He's fine. BH for me? What does that mean? What do you have coming out? Who do you have coming out of the West? Harden, one more run. Go Harden, one more run. Has Harden ever had a real run? Dadier wide open, lock me down. Can't get it to go. Come on, Dadier. Come on, rookies. I need these shots to go down. I'm not doing a good job of keeping track of the score. It is 51-45. Who do I have coming out of the West? Well, Harden is a career playoff dropper. He's horrible in the playoffs. Talking about guys being horrible in the playoffs. welcome to the conversation, James Harden. Horrible in the playoffs. But the Clippers are interesting because they do have Kawhi Leonard, and that man can carry a team on his back if he's healthy. We'll see if he'll be healthy. Coming out of the West, I mean, I'm going to remove OKC out of the conversation because they're the obvious choice. But who would I go with then? Man, I don't know. The West is too interesting. I want to go with Minnesota because I like Ant Edwards, obviously. I'm going to root for DiVincenzo and Randall to do well in the playoffs. But D. Grant said, I mean, Tibbs' overall record as a coach in the playoffs with Chicago, Minnesota. His playoff record in the playoffs with the Knicks is 7-14. Yeah, I mean, when you lose in the second round, you're going to lose 8 games. So there's that. Dadier an offensive rebound. Hey, maybe Dadier should have been playing all season long, Tibbs. I'm just saying. Obviously, he's youngest player on the team, but hey, man, he's hustling out there. He grabs rebounds, something that other players on the team can struggle with. In terms of Tom Thibodeau's coaching career, like, he's been fine in the playoffs. He's just never had a team that's been expected to go super deep outside of that Chicago team, that one Chicago team, and that was healthy for one season. So, like, I can't go by the playoff record and ignore the context of it. He's never, in Minnesota, those teams were mediocre to slightly above average. A really young Karl Anthony Towns, Andrew Wiggins as their first or second option. Like, we know about Andrew Wiggins now. So looking back at it, it's like that's who you were relying on. Lionel Isaac, what's up, Lionel Isaac? I appreciate you, brother. Hope you're having a good time tonight. I didn't expect anybody new to come in and see the game tonight. As Kolek and PJ Tucker sub out. We're not really calling the game tonight because it's not important. It's really not. We're just going to highlight anything any of the rookies do. Speaking of, Tyler Kolek subs out for campaign. Precious Achua subs in for Tucker. But overall, Tibbs has been fine in his playoff time with the Knicks. He's been fine. He obviously hasn't been good. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's been good, but he's been fine. I don't think he's lost the Knicks a series. The only one that's questionable is the Miami one. The first Jalen Brunson year. Keith said, no, it's either the Cavs or Boston is the upset to me. I mean, I would hope so, right? I would hope the Knicks don't get upset. I hope they're not the team for the upset. I just think if we're looking at who's more likely, probably likely it's the Knicks, not the Celtics or the Cavs, who've had fantastic seasons. Yak said, fans predicting Tom getting fired are counting us out. I just don't do that before the playoffs even started. It's sad to me. Fair. Very fair. But it's where I'm coming from, though, Yak, is really from the standpoint of evaluating Tom Thibodeau's season as a head coach this year. And he's been bad. He's been bad. He's been bad this year. Overall, he's been bad. So, if you evaluate it from that point of view, and what's the upside to this team, and how much has Tom Thibodeau held this team back, you move on from the coach before you make drastic moves to the roster, especially when the front office literally just assembled this team. You can't assemble this team as a front office and then the next offseason go, hey, maybe we made a mistake, even though the head coach didn't maximize the roster at all. And so the next logical move, once you hit this point of your team building, where you're now looking at yourselves like, okay, well, now we're competing for championships. Before, they were just the plucky underdogs who were punching above their weight class, and everything else was icing on the cake. Now you're legitimate title contenders competing for a championship, which is part of the reason why we were celebrating 50 wins last year, and this year a lot of people are poo-pooing it because it's like, well, it's not enough. Where's the improvement on it? Where's the improvement on it? And it doesn't feel like there has been. It actually feels, even though we've had 50 wins this year, it actually feels like a step down. Vertified said BH means thank God in Hebrew. Now, that's very good to know, Vertified. Thank you for teaching me. That's very good to know. Lana Mona said, with a healthy Knicks last year, we would have beaten the Pacers. That is also a prevailing thought, because I also believe that. I'm sure a lot of you believe that. That this could have been a conference finals team, and then we all really, if fully healthy, would have really been interested to see last year's Knicks take on last year's Celtics. Celtics still probably win that series, but we don't know that for sure. McCullough checks into the game, by the way. So we got he comes in for Dadier. What are you doing, man? Get McCullough and Dadier in there at the same time. So if the Knicks made it to the conference finals last year, and then were forced to make all these drastic roster moves because Harnstein ends up leaving, and then the Knicks aren't even projected to be competitive in the second round, that's an issue. And there's going to have to be changes to be made. Do I think that the front office will make changes? I hope so. But it's not going to be major roster changes. They'll obviously look to improve some of the bench guys, but it's not going to be major roster changes. It's not. It's not at all. If only because literally last season they assembled this team. So it would be the front office admitting failure on themselves rather than looking at the head coach and being like, hey man, we gave you some really good ingredients and you put out a horrible meal. You were cooking up something disgusting over there. So who gets canned in that situation? Obviously the coach, right? We'll see what they decide to do in the offseason. They're obviously very loyal to Tom Thibodeau. But I'm sure there are people in the front office who aren't as loyal as Leon Rose is, who are probably whispering in his ear like, hey man, 5 years is a good run. We salute him. He did a good job overall, but it's time to move on in order for this team to hit the next ceiling. When you go into the offseason, you start looking, how do you improve the team, right? So you look overall, and it was a little disappointing. How do we improve the team now? Do we just run it back? Bring the coach back, bring pretty much the same roster, make marginal improvements by bringing in a different sixth and seventh man? And it's like, okay, what is that doing? What is that doing overall? Give my man McCullough an assist, DeLon, right? Doesn't get it. Doesn't get it. B. Grant said, I'm not going to make excuses for Tibbs. They want to deemed as a max coach, but results in the playoffs have been underperformed. I question that. It's fair to question, man. It's absolutely fair to question. It's absolutely fair to question. It's kind of where we're at right now. The front office, literally, here's the thing. Here's what I was thinking about earlier today when I'm thinking about, all right, what are we going to talk about during the game? Because obviously the game's not going to be interesting. Here's what I was thinking about earlier today. I'm listening to other Knicks content creators and other Knicks podcasts talk about certain things, and it just dawned on me where I was thinking like, man, the front office went through hell and high water to assemble this team this summer, right? For all of the sleeping Leon memes that were circulating online the last couple of years, like because he was holding on to all the picks, he didn't make giant trades or anything like that. Like the man did both things this offseason. Like he held his chips, and then he pushed them all onto the table. And he went to work. And the Karl Anthony Towns trade required tact. It required ingenuity. It required an immense amount of studying and knowing the rule book of a new cap, right? Of a new bargaining agreement. And making the Karl Anthony Towns deal work financially was a work of geniuses. That was an insane trade to make. When you look at the reasons and how, you could read up on it. Obviously, a bunch of beat writers wrote about it this summer because it was a big deal. But it was an insane work of maneuvering contracts and players and trades, and this guy's involved in that trade, but this guy we bought out from his contract overseas in order to bring him on, and so we'll sign him to a one-year deal, but $1 over the minimum so that it'll work financially, and we won't get hit with the new bargaining agreement where you can't consolidate contracts that are on a minimum because we're over the first time. Like all of that had to come together. They had to maneuver around all of that in order to make the Karl Anthony Towns deal work, and so the front office worked their butts off, exhausted every avenue to improve this team, right? They did their job. Now, whether or not it works is obviously remained to be seen, but they did everything in their power. They looked down every avenue. They looked under every cushion, every crevice. They were like, how can we improve this team? And they were able to do it, right? And with that being said, we come into the season, and with the versatility that this roster has, in terms of playing Towns at center, or playing him at power forward, or playing OG with Bridges, or playing McBride with Brunson, or playing McBride, Bridges, Anunoby, and Towns. And then getting Mitchell Robinson back and playing Robinson with the players, Robinson with Anunoby and Bridges, Robinson with Anunoby and McBride, and all the different configurations that you could have. Tom Thibodeau barely used any of those options and insisted on playing the same five-man unit night in and night out. And if it weren't for injuries, they would historically have been the most played five-man lineup in NBA history between Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby, and Towns. And you didn't really try anything else. And so when I look at the juxtaposition of the front office doing what they did, working their butts off, working late at night, staying up, being in conversations to make these moves in order to assemble the roster and going down every avenue to improve the team, and then looking at what Tom Thibodeau did this year where he does the exact opposite. He doesn't try everything. He doesn't look at every avenue, every crevice in order to get the most out of this team. He doesn't try different units. He doesn't try a different defensive philosophy because you don't have the normal rim protecting center that you normally have. He doesn't try any of it, not a single one of it. And I'll prove it to you. I'll show you guys in a minute here. But with all that being said, the team underperforms. And so what are your options to improve your team next year? After what they did in the previous offseason, it is not fair to expect them to do similar work this offseason because they're looking at it like, we did our work already. It's now your job as the head coach to put the ingredients and make a five-star meal. And Tom Thibodeau has turned out garbage this year. It's been a bad year in terms of experimentation, of viewing the players that you have. Electing to go to an 8-man rotation out of the gate because Shamet gets hurt in the preseason and Achua gets hurt in the preseason, and just going, hey, my regular rotation players got hurt, so I'm just not going to play anybody else. I'm not going to play Bakom Dadie. I'm not going to play any of these end-of-the-bench guys. Just 12 minutes. I'm not even asking for 20. That's crazy. Dadie wasn't going to sink the team earlier in the year in 12 minutes of action off the bench as the 9th man, just to spell some guys, right? It wasn't going to happen. And yet he elected to go to a 6-man rotation. Some nights a 7 or 6-man rotation in halves of games. That is poor coaching. I think Tom Thibodeau, this has been by far his worst coaching season of his career. I've seen him be a better coach, which is the standard I'm holding him up to. But even outside of that standard, he's been horrendous. He's been horrendous. He's not been good. Now, do they give him another opportunity? Do they just have a meeting, sit down with Tom Thibodeau, and they go, hey, look, this is what we saw. We need you to be better. And they bring him back next year? It's a possibility. That's why that's actually, I think, the route that they're going to go down. I don't think they're going to trade him, or trade him. I don't think they're going to fire him and move on. But the easiest thing to do in order to improve this team is to shift the coaching mentality. And at 67 years old, I don't think Tom Thibodeau is looking to shift his coaching mentality, right? When you come out after last game, which, by the way, I didn't even mention it, but the last game, his post-game comments, did you guys see it? His post-game comments were something along the lines of, yeah, we have to fix everything. And it's like, brother, that was game 81. That was game 81. That wasn't game 23. That wasn't even game 52. That was game 81 of the regular season. If after game 81 of the regular season, you now take a step back and go, oh man, yeah, we have a lot to fix. We got to fix a lot of things. We got to figure some things out. Like, then they're not going into the playoffs ready. Now, maybe they come out game 1 and smack the Pistons up, and all of this rant right now is kind of mute. It's kind of a mute point at that point, right? They figured it out. They quote unquote figured it out. But that doesn't erase the fact that he's been bad for 82 games in the regular season. Irving Green, what's up, Irving? We're not a legitimate title contenders. We are a legitimate playoff contender. Yeah. I mean, it was also brought up I can't remember if I was listening to James Edward III, but the beat writer James Edward III had talked about, yeah, it was on Knicks Fan TV, I think, where he had talked about like, hey man, the Knicks had 5 or 6 games where Jalen Brunson just bailed them out this season. Against like bad, like the Wizards game comes to mind where he scored 55 points and hit the game winner at the end in overtime. There was 5 or 6 games where Jalen Brunson put the Superman cape on, Captain Clutch arrived, and then all of a sudden the Knicks found the way to win those games. And it was like, if that doesn't go their way, they're closer to the 6 seed than they are to the 2 seed. They're closer to the play-in situation this season. And so when you look at through that lens and that perspective where maybe just a bounce or two doesn't go their way, it's like, oh snap, like they actually had a very, very poor season. Now the ball did bounce their way. So again, a little bit of a moot point. Sometimes the ball bounces your way and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you make the shot and sometimes you miss it. But just as his dad said, Knicks in 4 hype stream. Knicks in 5. I got Knicks in 5. I got Knicks in 5 against the Pistons. We'll worry about the Celtics when we get there, but I got Knicks in 5. By the way, we got Anton Watson and Marjon Beauchamp in the game. Get my man Dottier in and I'll be happy. Bernard Johnson, what's up, Bernard? Yak said Randall was on one leg in the Miami series, and yet he was playing like 36 minutes a game, Yak. Like, I get you. I don't entirely blame Randall for that series, although his body language was awful. But if he's hurt and he's playing on one leg, why is he playing 36 minutes? I get they didn't have a ton of options, but again, you got to get creative. And that's something that Tom Thibodeau has proven to not be. As Landry Shamet lines up another 3. Speaking of the game, nothing all that interesting has happened. We're not getting much from McCullough or Dottier or Kolek. Beauchamp's got some baskets, which is nice, but you know who we're here for. We all know who we're here for. Let me update the score, by the way. It's 62-64, and we're going into halftime now. Wofford gets inside and gets the layup to go over McCullough. I like the way McCullough acts on the court. Like he's just trying to defend. Mike, what's up, Mike? What's up with the score? We're hardly paying attention to the game tonight. We're just here it's a showcase for the young guys, and that's what we're here for. But we're really here to kind of wrap up the regular season, talk about whatever you guys want to talk about, and then talk about the playoffs. We got a whole second half of basketball to talk about whatever you guys want to have conversations about. Nick Yak said, you don't feel we will be competitive. I can understand why. But I believe Mitch makes a huge difference than regular season games. I do too. I do too, Yak. The problem is, I think we've seen a total of 8 minutes of Robinson and Towns on the court together. Now, maybe Tom Thibodeau is just like, I'm just going to throw it out there in the playoffs and they'll figure it out on the fly. But I know you felt this way, because you were talking about it from day one where you wanted a center to play alongside Towns. You didn't want Towns at center. But we all thought, once Mitchell Robinson got back, we're going to see Tom Thibodeau try to replicate what Minnesota did with Gobert and Towns, and we're going to see a lot of Robinson and Towns. Just because you need him coming back for the final 20 games or so, you don't have a ton of time to play those lineups together, and we're going to see a bunch of it. And we didn't. We hardly saw it at all. And it's just weird. It's just strained. It just comes across as a coach who just mismanaged the season. It just feels like Tibbs has mismanaged the season. And it ultimately just comes back to that. I'd like to be on your side in terms of being confident in the Knicks' ability to kind of just flip the switch and turn it on. But at some point, you kind of are who you are. I hope they do flip the switch. Again, Knicks in 5 against Detroit. I'm more so talking about the Celtics. Right? They get embarrassed by the Celtics and they lose in 4 blowouts. Even if they win a game, they lose in 4 blowouts and they're not even competitive. And the Celtics are just like, ha! Y'all thought assembling that team was going to beat us? That's hilarious. Like it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. Rockabye Baby said, Cat wasn't as effective after his hand and knee injury. Hopefully he feels good for the playoffs because he needs to be dominant for us to have any chance to advance in the playoffs. He's also started to become less effective offensively as the season went on. Number one reason because of the injuries, like you said, but also because the general way of how you guard the Knicks, teams caught on entirely. Like some teams, smart teams, did this earlier in the year, but every team started to guard Karl Anthony Towns with a wing player, and put the center on Josh Hart because you don't have to guard Josh Hart. And so they would have the center stand in the paint. So if the wing, who can keep up laterally with Karl Anthony Towns, can slide his feet and stay in front of him so he can't just blow by a center off the dribble from the top of the key, and the wing can press up on him so he can't just catch and shoot all day. And so what does Towns have to do? He either has to look to take a wing off the dribble and attack the paint, and then have to look to finish over a center, or kick it out to Josh Hart, who they're just going to leave open because we know Josh Hart's not going to shoot. Or they're going to look to post up Karl Anthony Towns against the smaller wing. And, Karl Anthony Towns isn't a great passer out of the post. He's an okay passer, but he's not a great passer out of the post. But it also doesn't even matter because the center who's guarding Josh Hart is just going to shade over and be like, okay, go ahead, shoot that hook shot over him. I'm going to be standing here and we're going to contest it. If you want to knock down 2-point hook shots all night, we're gonna hit 15 threes tonight. You're not gonna be able to keep up. The Knicks ended the season 27th in 3-point attempts per game. That you can't be 27th in 3-point attempts per game and be a great team. You can't. You want to be 15? Okay, that's 12 spots higher than where the Knicks were. You want to be 15, mediocre, middle of the pack? Okay. You have to be closer to 10 though, if you really want to compete with teams, because the math doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to be able to keep up with the 3-point volume of great teams, which is part of the reason why this front office assembled this team. This should not be a team that ranks 27th in 3-point attempts when you have Towns and Brunson and Bridges and Anunoby and McBride and Shamet and Payne. 7 guys who have no conscience in firing away from 3-point range. But the reason why they're incapable of doing it is because you will put out lineups that include Josh Hart and with Josh Hart with all of your most prominent shooters, and lineups with Mitchell Robinson, Precious Achiuwa, and Josh Hart out there. Like that's not defensible. You can't have lineups of Robinson, Achiuwa, and Josh Hart. And he did that multiple times this season. Mike said he shouldn't have been hired in the first place. He did a good job though, Mike. He did a good job. You needed a steady hand to bring you out of the doldrums. And he already had a relationship with the front office. He did his job, right? Like I said, before the Knicks were a plucky team punching above their weight class. They were not expected to win a championship, right? And then once you get to the point where you assemble what you think is a championship contending roster, that's when the expectations shift from, hey, that was fun, they played hard, they fought till the end, they lost in the second round, that sucks. Let's look for some improvement next year. Right? They're not that team anymore. They had 2-3 years of that. Now you're the team where it's like championship or bust. Let's be real. You don't make the moves they made in the offseason and not expect you to at least make it to a competitive second, third finals round. And they're probably not going to do that. I hope they are. I hope they can shock the world and beat the Celtics in the second round. Right? Like you guys, I'm a fan of the team. Die-hard fan, watch every single game. Y'all can look at the record. Y'all can look at the evidence. I stream every single game. I'm here rooting on the Knicks like anybody else. But the fact of the matter is, it's feeling unlikely like that's going to happen. Right? I'm hoping for it. Like you guys are. But if I'm looking objectively at the situation, it don't look good. Kent Neal, what's up, Kent? DCO Love said, especially with a stretch big. Yeah, like I said, you don't assemble a roster that features Towns, Brunson, Bridges, and Anunoby as your top 4 and end up as ranked 27th in 3-point attempts. That's ridiculous. And then you factor in that you are bringing McBride, Shamet, and Payne, 3 guys who have no conscience in firing away 3-point shots. You bring those guys in off the bench, and it's like, how did you end up 27th in 3-point attempts? How are you not getting up more 3-point attempts? It's a failure on the coach's scheme. It is. Ultimately, it is. You can't just ask your players, well, shoot more contested threes. It's like, no, those aren't good shots. Just asking your guys to shoot more contested threes are not good shots, you know? Lionel Monis said, Cat needs to shoot more threes. He does. He does. But also, we need to do a better job of generating open threes for him. Minnesota ran a lot of Karl-Anthony Towns off ball. Did Jared Allen shoot a three? Crazy. Minnesota last season ran Karl-Anthony Towns off ball a lot with Rudy Gobert setting off ball screens to free up Karl-Anthony Towns. He can shoot off the catch, off of movement. We have utilized that 0% this year. We haven't even tried running screens for Karl-Anthony Towns off ball. The only way he shoots threes are two ways: pick and pop, or is the trailer in transition, right? And the reason why you don't get any more pick and pop threes is because we're going to put a wing on Karl-Anthony Towns, and then we'll just switch it. If you try to run the pick and roll with Brunson, we just switch. Now we have a big wing guarding Brunson, which is what you want anyway, and the guards that switched on to Towns, we're not worried about Towns just blowing by him because our center who's guarding Josh Hart is just standing in the middle of the lane waiting for him. So now Towns is going to have to shoot a floater off the bounce, and yeah, he can knock down that shot. But again, the defense is did our job. The Knicks ended up with a off-the-dribble floating shot from Karl-Anthony Towns. That's not the shot you want if you're the Knicks. Raymond Vasquez, what's up, Raymond? 25-26 said, this is year one of their 3-year window. Maybe 25-26. What if Brunson gets hurt next year? Right? Knock on wood, knock on all the wood possible. All the wood. Obviously, I'm not rooting for that. But you say it's a 3-year window. What if Brunson gets hurt next year? Now that year's out the window. If you're saying it's 3 years, now we're in the 3rd year. What if Towns gets hurt that year? Towns is an injury-prone player as well. What if Towns gets hurt? You can't just rely on it being a 3-year window because of age when Towns is an injury-prone player, Anunoby's an injury-prone player, right? Brunson's a small guard who gets beat up every night. It's not inconceivable to think that he could go down and get hurt for an extended period of time. It's, your window is not open for years. Your window is open on a year-to-year basis. Is it open this year? Okay, cool. You got to the playoffs. Your window remains open. Your window can slam shut immediately in the NBA. Look at the Nuggets. The Nuggets made it to a conference finals in the bubble in 2020 or 2021, whenever that season was. I think it was 2020. And they made it to the conference finals in the bubble with Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic kind of announcing to the world, hey, we're here. We're back, baby. Let's do it. Jamal Murray blows his ACL the following year, and they're out of contention for 2 years. 2 years. They don't get back into contention for 2 seasons they lost. Their window slammed completely shut. Even as great as Jokic was, he was winning MVPs in those years. But you can't do it alone, right? So we could sit here and say, yeah, it's a 3-year window because of where they are in their ages. They're in their late 20s. They're in their primes. They're gonna have years of competing. But what happens if the unthinkable happens? What if Brunson goes down? What if Towns goes down? What if Bridges goes down? What if Anunoby goes down? It's not like these guys are infallible with their with their health. 25-26 says, what if Tatum gets hurt or Spider or Luka? Yeah, which is why you maximize your window right now. That you're making my exact point. If you're looking to compete for a championship, you are not relying on your opponents getting hurt. You're not sitting there with your fingers crossed being like, I hope Tatum gets hurt so we can get past the Celtics. It's unlikely to happen. It's unlikely to happen that the Knicks suffer those injuries, right? And I'm knocking on all the wood possible. I don't hope that happens. But you can't rely on a 3-year window because of the ages of your group when you are employing 2 extremely important players in your rotation who have suffered maybe not major injuries, but have missed major time with injuries in their careers. Angela Harding, what's up, Angela? Robin Shaw, what's up, Robin? Angela said, how are things going? Looking for today? It's looking solid. looking solid. Got some work done this morning. Got some work done last night. We got a nice early game. We're going to end it by the time 3:30 hits. And then we got the rest of the Sunday to relax. And then off back to work on Monday morning. Now, I've been telling you guys I have some things that I wanted to talk about. Let me pull it up. I probably should have sent it to myself earlier, but I can send it to myself now, actually. That one. Maybe that one? Maybe that one. Let's just send all 4 of those. I'll pull them up on stream, but man. Let me take a quick look at the box score. 66-62 at halftime. Do we care about anybody? Who's hooping? Payne with 13, Achua with 12, McBride with 10. Cool. 17 off the bench for who? Oh, Shamit. Yeah, Shamit's going off. 17 off the bench for Shamit. 4 for Beauchamp, 2 for Kolek, 4 for Dadier. Nobody else that we care about has scored. No McCullough points, no Anton Watson points just yet. But also now let me pull up these. 25-26 said, Knicks did maximize their assets. They solved the Randall contract issues and added 2 immediate pieces. How it's worked out is another story. I mean, that's what we're talking about. 25-26 is the front office did their job. Like you said, they figured out the Randall contract situation, which was going to be a situation. Right? People forget he's likely going to be a free agent after this year, looking for a massive contract. Would you rather pay Julius Randle a massive contract or pay Towns a massive contract? So they figured that out. Let's see. All right. Actually, I could just download it. That would probably be better. Download all of these. And then I want to show you some of these stats, guys. I want to show you some of these stats that people have been putting up all over the internet because it's pretty damning evidence in regards to Tom Thibodeau's coaching this year, right? This one was via the Hot Hand Theory. I don't know if it's a podcast you guys follow. I think it's a very good podcast. I don't always agree with them, but man, do they make some sound points. Now, here. So before the season started, one of the co-hosts warned that because of Tom Thibodeau's rotation preferences, the Knicks starting Josh Hart would likely kill any rotation diversity, which we talked about at length so far this afternoon. So when we talk about the merits of starting Deuce McBride in for Josh Hart, which is something that has been talked about since before the season started, by the way. Before the preseason started, we talked about, okay, the big decision is, do you start Deuce McBride or do you start Josh Hart? And Tom Thibodeau has elected to start Josh Hart, and in doing so, that lineup has seen 1,898 possessions this year. Okay, but if that was the big conversation, you would think that Tom Thibodeau would have elected to try the lineup of Jalen Brunson, Deuce McBride, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl-Anthony Towns a little bit more often to see the merits of the positive and negatives of starting Hart and the positive and negatives of starting Deuce McBride. We didn't see it at all. 82 total possessions of Deuce McBride with the starters, which, by the way, is minimizing the impact of Deuce McBride. Having him out there with a bunch of bench players and asking him to be a self-creator all of a sudden and be a creator for other players and being a point guard, which we know he's not a natural point guard, is minimizing the impact of Deuce McBride. So for a guy who started off the year in the conversation for Sixth Man of the Year, completely started to fizzle out as the year started to go on because of the way he was being utilized. I mean, this is horrible. There's no defense for this. There's no defense for not trying the Deuce McBride with the starters lineup. That's poor coaching. And that's evidence. You know, it's not just yapping. It's not just how I feel. That's evidence. That is physical evidence of you didn't try. You didn't try to figure out what works with your team. You just tried to shove a square peg into a round hole all season long. And now you're facing the repercussions of that. This other one was from Schwinn. This other one was from Schwinn. JB, Deuce, McHale, OG have played 202 minutes this season, which has a plus 12 net rating. JB, Deuce, Hart, and OG have played 157 minutes this season, which has a plus 17 net rating. JB, Deuce, Hart, McHale have played 116 minutes this season, 160 minutes this season for a plus 3 net rating. JB, Hart, McHale, and OG have played 1,242 minutes this season for a net rating that is less than 0.5. So literally every other lineup combination that works better statistically than the one that has played by far the most, even if you combine these, it's more than almost triple the amount that these other lineups have been trotted out, and yet it was less than half of a percentage point better than zero. You didn't even try, man. You didn't even try. 160 minutes total of this lineup, 157 minutes total of this lineup, 202 minutes total of this lineup feels intentionally bad. Feels like you were intentionally being obtuse about playing certain lineups because you didn't want to not include Josh Hart. You wanted to put Josh Hart out there, which is crazy. Right? And now we come to Prez's one, the last one I want to show off to you guys. The rotations that Tibbs has used most since February 1st. Contrast that with the starters with Deuce McBride instead of OG Anunoby, 30 total minutes. The starters with Deuce McBride instead of Mikal Bridges, 24 total minutes. The starters with Deuce McBride instead of Josh Hart, which was the number one question everybody with 2 brain cells were asking this offseason, the merits of starting Deuce McBride versus the merits of starting Josh Hart, played a total of 7 minutes that lineup since February 1st this season, which is awful, which is horrendous. And then Mitch and Towns with Jalen Brunson this year. Right? You guys want to see that as the starting lineup going into the playoffs. I would like to see that as well. They played a total of 2 minutes together, those 3. 2 minutes, man. 2 total minutes since February 1st. How do you justify that? How do you justify that? Right? I don't come on here to complain about Tom Thibodeau's season because I don't like Tom Thibodeau. I've been very complimentary of Tom Thibodeau overall as a head coach. He's good. He's good. But he's not great. And this is the kind of thing, if I was the front office and I'm looking at these numbers, I'm going, listen, you either have to shift the way you think about your rotations, or you're going to have to take a seat with me here in the front office because we have to look for a new head coach. We don't assemble this roster for you to just throw it all away because you want to play Brunson, Hart, Bridges, Anunoby, and Towns 1,000,000 minutes versus any other lineup. It's poor coaching. It's poor coaching, unfortunately. Ricardo, what's up, Ricardo? That is the only thing I wanted to bring to the table with you guys today. That's the only thing I wanted to get off my chest. So outside of that, I guess we could just focus on what's going on in the game here. It's 74-64. They've started the third quarter during my rant. I gave them 3 points. They don't have 3 points. To 64. Bird, if I said I like it, that would be a good Eastern Conference Finals team. We don't know. I can't even agree with you because we don't know because we haven't seen it. That's the biggest issue. We haven't seen any of these lineups enough to have legitimate opinions about it, right? In theory, they would work and they would be good. And in the small sample sizes that we have, we can look at it and go, it's working. It's working. Maybe we should try it a little bit more to see if it continues to work. you know? And we just didn't get it. We just didn't get it. There's no way to justify that. I don't want to hear anybody saying, because I've listened to as many Knicks content creators about it, because I'm like, am I crazy? Am I going crazy? Am I just too much thinking about it too much? Right? Am I too much into my head? Am I too emotional about it? Like, let me evaluate this. Let me listen to other people's opinions. And then I find numbers like that, and I find people literally saying or feeling and expressing the same things that I have felt and expressed about Tom Thibodeau this year. And that the biggest flaw with this team this year has been the head coach. You know? And whether it's the head coach improving or them deciding to move on, but clearly, a switch has to happen. Whether it's him improving or him being removed of his duties, something has to change next year. Something has to change next year. Mark, what's up, Mark? Mark, have you been in here the whole time? Have you listened to my entire rant about Tom Thibodeau? Mike said Cat can't hold down Giannis. Well, nobody can. Giannis is insane. It would more so be Anunoby on Giannis, which it doesn't even matter because we're not playing Milwaukee in the first round. But it would have more so been Anunoby on Giannis with Towns and help side, which he's capable of being because he's 7 feet tall with a long wingspan. Right. So now we're sitting at a point this season where we're hoping that guys like Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, because we've seen them do it in 2 years in a row, we've seen them do it, raise their games come playoff time, right? So we're literally now sitting at a point where it's like, well, I hope Brunson can hit another level come playoff time. I hope Josh Hart can relocate his shot and hit another level come playoff time. Anunoby's also been a playoff riser for us, going back to last season before he got injured. But, you know, there's that. We don't know about Bridges yet. So we'll just have to wait and see. Also with Towns, we don't know about Towns yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. Mark said, I have not. If this team ends this year like this and then no spark in the playoffs, Tibbs on the hottest seat for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. I might just consolidate it and put it in a short so you don't have to go back and listen to the whole thing. But we looked at it all, man. We looked at it all. We looked at all the numbers. We tried to evaluate any good he had this year, which has been very little. But it's been a whole lot of difficulty this year with Tom Thibodeau, which I think has been the most disappointing person as a part of this team this year. Shah, what's up, Shah? Is this live live by the 3, die by the 3 era? I don't know what you mean, brother. I don't know what you mean. Yeah, said, remind everyone who's saying it's okay, it's only year 1. Save me the time. Who did we lose to this year? Oh, and saying like, oh, the season's already over? Is that what you mean, Yak? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to start talking about off-season moves and what are we going to do this off-season and start talking about the Knicks as if they don't have another basketball game coming up, right? We'll see each other April 19th or April 20th, whenever they schedule the Knicks game. But, yeah, season's not over yet. Knicks in 5 against the Pistons, and then we will reevaluate what we think about Knicks versus Celtics when the time comes. Mark said, 0 interest in even turning this game on, but wanted to check in on the stream. Yeah, I mean, we haven't even been calling the game, Mark. This is kind of just the season wrap-up kind of stream. We obviously have the game on really just to watch and kind of evaluate and finally get to see guys like Dottier and McCullough and Kolek obviously get playing time, even like a Beauchamp or an Anton Watson and whatnot. We haven't gotten a ton of it, not a ton of it. Actually, I can pull up the box score and we can look at it. And they haven't really provided a whole lot of fun yet. I'm hoping for some more here in the second half, but you know. Tom Thibodeau starting PJ Tucker tonight was a bad sign, but he did eventually start to get guys into the game. McCullough played 5 minutes in the first half. He had 2 rebounds, an assist, and a steal. Cool. Anton Watson didn't do anything in his 1 minute. Great job putting him in for 1 minute, Tibbs. 3 minutes for Beauchamp. He had 4 points, 2 boards, and an assist. Did some things. Landry Shamet has been going off, which is great because we need him on a hot streak going into the playoffs. Tyler Kolek didn't do much. 3 boards, 3 assists, 2 turnovers. I did get to the foul line. 2 points for him. And then Dottier, 1 for 3. 2 for 3 from the foul line. 4 rebounds, 4 points. Cool. Like I said, not a whole lot to be super interested in. They are the sole reason, those young guys, the sole reason why I'm tuning into the game. But, because we do every game, we were going to do this game regardless. Obviously nothing to play for, but I'm just here for the young guys. And we still have the starting lineup out there. 5 minutes into this. PJ Tucker 3? Hey, PJ Tucker getting in on the action. Stove Genetics said, how did this happen? What, the score? 74-70? Mark said, this fan base needs to get energized again. Game 1 has to be a statement game. Absolutely, Mark. Obviously, the vibes have never been lower. Vibes have never been lower for this team in the Tom Thibodeau era, in the Leon Rose era. The vibes have never been lower. Even when they were bad, 3-4 years ago, before they went out and signed Jalen Brunson, even when they were bad that year and they missed the playoffs, and they were the 11th seed and they missed the play-in, there was still hope because it was like, well, RJ will come back better next year. Quickly will come back better next year. Toppin will come back better next year. So there's hope. And the vibes were there. And then obviously guys like Quickly and Toppin ended the year off really strong. And it was like, cool, we have hope going into next year, even though this year sucked and we should have made the playoffs and we didn't. So even in a season like that, the vibes were still there. They were still there. The vibes have never been lower than they are right now. So you're absolutely right, Mark. This fan base needs to get energized. Knicks need to come out and put out a statement win by 20. It doesn't even have to be 20 necessarily, but they need to have a dominant performance against the Pistons in that first game and show we've been playing around with y'all. We're stepping it up here. We need Jalen Brunson to hit the playoff level. We need playoff JB to make his return. We need playoff Josh Hart to make a return, which is looking iffy because of the way he's ended the season. But if we're thinking about it, he ended the season pretty bad last year as well, right? Remember that? And then he came out against Philly, and it was like, hey, man, he learned how to shoot again. So maybe that'll happen again, and he'll put the battery pack back in, and he'll have a fantastic round against Detroit, but Yak said, I've seen all A1, missed a 1 o'clock game sleeping after some holiday. Yeah, I think the only game I didn't stream this season, was the one game that I went to go watch live on January 17th, on my birthday. Right? I think that was the only game I didn't stream, but I still watched it because I was at the Garden. But I've seen every game this year, every single one of them, and some of them multiple times because I needed to go back and rewatch certain things for either a point I wanted to make or for content I was making, whether it was the shorts or whatever. So I've seen every game, some of them multiple times. Ricardo said, I've been saying all year Tibbs isn't the right coach for this group of players. Yeah, I mean, it's just disappointing that, us as fans can look at something and be like, hey, man, I obviously don't know as much as you. You're in there day in and day out. You're around these guys. You're there at practice. You know what they're capable of and whatnot. But, all we're asking you to do is to try things. To just try things, right? That's not crazy. That's not crazy. And I just showed you the stats of the fact that he just flat out refused to try anything this year, which is the sign of a poor coaching job. You know? So, Genetic said Cade will go off, but no one else will help him. Knicks in 5. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Cade is really that guy. His first NBA playoffs, and it's gonna come. Game 1 is gonna come in a raucous Garden that's gonna be jumping up and down. That's gonna be trying to energize their team. Mike said, as a coach, Tibbs was always too inflexible and a little predictable. Yeah. I mean, his core tenets are fairly simple. His whole offensive philosophy is get 2 on the ball and then move the ball, which is fairly simple, right? And the way he gets 2 on the ball is by putting the ball in his best player's hands and is like, hey man, hoop. The game will tell you what to do, right? It's his favorite phrase. The game will tell you what to do. And it's like, sometimes I need you to run a lot more off-ball action. Sometimes, I need you to get creative with your lineups. And he's, as you guys have said, inflexible and a little predictable. Kay Hazy said, how's Payne doing? I don't know. Fine, I guess. We are not watching for campaign tonight, Kay Hazy. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie. McBride did the foul, and I knocked down 2 free throws. It is now 75 to 79. Payne has 16 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. So there's that. Yak said OG will slow that up. The OG thing, the Cunningham thing, yeah, I would expect game 1 to come out and you put OG Anunoby on Cade Cunningham, and I would suspect you do that in game 1, number 1, to try and slow him down. I think he's the best matchup for Cade. He's just too big and too strong for Bridges, and he's too big for a guy like Deuce McBride. And so you're kind of really left with your only option is Anunoby, maybe even Josh Hart. You'd feel comfortable switching on him, right? But yeah, you throw OG the dog on him, you put him in prison, and if you take Cade out of the game as best as you can, and you make his life hell, the Pistons don't really have much after that, especially with a guy like Jaden Ivey out. As McCullough comes up with a block, by the way, my man McCullough, I'm going to shout out anything the rookies do. Anything the rookies do. And then Campaign knocks down a deep pull of 3. Mark said, hope you're right, Vibe. Need that big dub. Yeah, man. Yeah. And McCullough dug down, almost got another steal. My man McCullough's hooping right now. He's working in defensively. Expect him to be a part of the rotation start of next year. Expect it. I'm expecting it. Subgenetic said, consistent? I don't know. But they need to get hyped up. Ant-Man used to always gas him up. Towns? Used to always gas up Towns? Yeah. He said Cat needs a hype man. I mean, Bridges, Campaign, they get in on him. They hype him up. Josh Hart can be a good hype man, right? Josh Hart has been hyping up OG Anunoby. He's been hyping up Mitchell Robinson all season long. And so, they're hype men on this team. There are. DCLF said, pick and roll to get OG off of Cade. I mean, yeah, just fight through the screen. It's not like Cade is super explosive, right? It's not like he's super quick that he can blow off of these screens and then, be wide open. But if they do that, then match up. Then lock in defensively. when the playoffs come around, you should be locked in more. You should be more focused. And if the game plan is to make sure that OG Anunoby doesn't switch off of Cade Cunningham, fight through those screens and don't switch off of Cade Cunningham. The only way to guard pick and roll is not to just sham in another three. Oh my goodness, sham in another three. You don't have to switch when pick and roll happens. You don't have to. It is the easiest way to guard it. And if you have versatile defenders all over the court, you can. But if your only applicable defender or if your only applicable offensive player with the ball in their hands is Cade Cunningham, the Knicks should be able to defend that fairly easily, right? I will bring up the 2021 Knicks? Yeah, the 2021 Knicks, where it was Julius Randle and then a bunch of guys. And then what did the Atlanta Hawks do? After the Knicks won 3-1 that season series, they beat the Hawks 3-1 in the season series. And then they lost in 5 games to the Hawks. How did that happen? Well, the Hawks were just like, hey, we're just going to guard Julius Randle, and then all you other guys got to make some plays. And then nobody else could really consistently make plays. It was like RJ, it was D Rose, Quickly was terrible, Toppin was all right, but nobody was being able to create shots. And so it was, DCL Love says the center has to show. I mean, even if you switched Towns onto Cunningham, like I think Towns for a couple of possessions here or there can stay in front of Cunningham. Especially if you switch Towns onto Cunningham. Cunningham's going to look to go one-on-one. He's not going to necessarily look to run another pick and roll to get another switch. McCullough down the lane draws the foul. Yes, sir. My man Kevin McCullough is locking in here in the second half. I love to see it. Stealth Janic said, I believe in these guys. I believe in the players. It's the coach that I have a bunch of reservations about. So, part of me saying Knicks in 5 for this Pistons series is I don't think the Pistons have a whole lot of options in order to deal with the Knicks' versatility, even if Tom Thibodeau doesn't utilize the versatility, I think they'll lock in and they're going to be great for that first round series. Then again, we'll come back and we'll talk about Knicks versus Celtics when that time comes. Yeah, I said Elf, Burks, and Noel. Yeah, that playoff series. It was Elfrid Payton, it was Alec Burks, and it was Nerlens Noel. But in a similar vein, it's Isaiah Stewart, it's Simone Fontecchio, it's Tim Hardaway Jr., So there's, it's Dennis Schroeder. There's reason to look at that Piston team and go, really, those guys are going to be good in the playoffs? Like, all right, Knicks in 5. So Janik said, Tibbs is the question mark, but he won't meet real coaching until round 2. Yeah. Yeah, I think Tom Thibodeau has already outcoached JB Bickerstaff in a playoff series before. Obviously, two completely different teams now, 2 completely different situations. So we'll see those guys face off again. But it's not like I expect JB Bickerstaff to outcoach Tibbs. If anything, that's a throw-up. That's a toss-up, not a throw-up. That's a toss-up. I think both guys will be perfectly fine coaching. I don't think one coach is going to outcoach the other, but we'll see. We'll see. Janik said, at least he won't see Spoelstra. Yeah, the probably best head coach in the NBA right now. But, at the same time, you start looking around the league, and a lot of these young dudes, I'm looking at Mark Daigneault with the Thunder, and how versatile he can get his roster to be and how much he tries things. I'm looking at Ime Udoka and what he's done in Houston, and before that, what he did in Boston in terms of using their versatility and instilling a culture and a confidence in a team that's punching above their weight class, that's kind of hitting their ceiling right now as a team. So, there's a lot of young coaches on the rise where it's not just so much, hey, Spoelstra's the head coach, the best head coach in the league, and that's it. I think it's a little closer. It's starting to get a little closer. A lot of, now you got the infusion of JJ Redick. We'll see what the Grizzlies do with their head coach. Obviously, we've talked about how they really like that assistant coach that they made interim head coach. We'll see what that looks like going into next year. Denver's going to have a new head coach. We'll see who they pick. But, DCL Love said, we might upset. Yeah, I'm not ruling it out. It's unlikely to happen that the Knicks beat the Celtics in the second round, but like, you don't rule out the possibility until there is no possibility that you're going to end up winning, right? They're going to have their chances. We've seen them play well in that last game against the Celtics. We've seen them play well and execute a game plan against the Celtics. Can they do that for 4 wins in a 7-game series? Time will tell. And again, we'll get to the second round. We'll start talking about the second round of the playoffs more often and start analyzing it a little bit more closely as we get closer to the second round when the Knicks beat the Pistons in 5 games. Stuff said, they're all out west. That's where the coaching battles are. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. All the coaches I mentioned, like you said, are out west. You start looking at some of the coaches in the East, but like Jorge Fernandez with the Nets has proven to be a pretty good head coach, and we'll see. Kenny Atkinson's a younger head coach. Obviously, he had an opportunity with the Nets before getting fired and then returning to the assistant coaching staff around the league, and then finally getting another head coaching job here. So, but he's young. I would consider him a part of the younger crop of coaches. McCullough, another rebound after a good defensive stop, baby. And then a hit ahead to Sham and another 3. If he would have made that, I think I would have went crazy. That was a crazy one. The Dog Catcher. What's up, Dog Catcher? What do you make of JJ Redick's first year coaching? Too soon to say much? I mean, it's too soon to say whether or not he's a really good head coach or just a good head coach who, pushed the right buttons this season for his team. Consider when you're coaching LeBron and you're coaching then Luka Doncic, it's like, all right, what were you really doing, But no, because we've seen head coaches come in and be the head coach of the Lakers and LeBron and like be bad head coaches. Look at Darvin Ham, the guy he literally replaced, was not a good head coach. So if we're just evaluating his first year, JJ Redick was great. Not even good. He was great. He was very good. He was very creative, implemented some very interesting defensive principles for a team that is now lacking a true center. And yet they were still able to maintain some modicum of respectable defense, even though it started off hot and then it got a little cold. But like kind of averages out to an average defense, which is pretty impressive considering, again, they were missing a center. And you're starting a 40-year-old player, and they still managed, and a guy who's historically been a bad defender in Luka Doncic, and yet they were somehow, and another bad defender in Austin Reeves, and again, they were still somehow to maintain, a average to good defense. So you got to give him his props there, man. You got to give him his props there. Mike said, JJ has LeBron and Luka. He's good right now. Yeah, which is also why I bring that up too, Mike. I agree with your point in that, like, I used to say this about Phil Jackson. Part of the reason why Phil Jackson never wanted to coach a rebuilding team is because he was just like, I just kind of want to tell my guys to go out there and be great rather than like actually having to coach guys up. When you're coaching Jordan and you're coaching Kobe and Shaq, like it's a little easy to be like, hey, run the triangle. And then you guys will be great. It's a little easy to do that versus, having to teach guys how to play and what that. And some guys, like, they're good for coaching championship level teams. And some guys, they're good for coaching developmental teams who are on the up and coming. And then never the two shall meet. Just because you're a good developmental coach doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be good at coaching a championship level team. Look at the Knicks with Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau was good to, coach a young up and coming team that was punching above its weight class. Now that we're here and we're looking at the roster and we're like, hey man, this is a championship level roster. At least it should be. And you're looking at him and you're like, I don't know if he's the guy for that, man. I don't know if he's the guy to lead you to being a championship level coach. Justice's dad said the picks for McHale are in the balance. Could move up 4 spots if the Knicks win. Oh, really? Yeah, I don't think any of it matters, though, for the Knicks. Like, I don't think they're thinking about that at all. But that's interesting. That's interesting, Justice's dad. Yeah, we'll see what the picks turn into. We'll see what the picks turn into. They could turn into 4 mediocre players who don't have very good NBA careers. It could turn into that. Or it could turn into 4 awesome players. Time will tell, and we'll see. But Stuffjetics said, JJ's engaged and passionate. Can't ask for more. Yeah, engaged and passionate for now. It's his first season. It's his first season. He generally looks like he really enjoys being a coach, though. But again, when you're coaching LeBron and Luka, and you have 2 supercomputers out on the court, like you, as a guy who wants to do all these creative different things, can have fun with that. Versus when you're coaching a rebuilding team, we'll see how he looks when that happens in his coaching career, right? How does it look when now you're having to teach very basic NBA concepts to younger players you just drafted, right? How does your coaching look then? I'm not going to lie, y'all. I didn't have lunch and I didn't have breakfast, and it's 3 o'clock now. This 1 o'clock start time has really thrown me off. I'm starving. It's really thrown me off. I'm dying for this game to end now. I just want to go eat. Subjanic said, cheat code, LeBron knows every play. Every team runs literally. Yeah. And Luka's not too far behind him. Like when you hit that level of playmaker, LeBron's super famous for it. Chris Paul was famous for it. Luka's starting to get the hang of it. Jokic is very famous for it. When you hit that level as a playmaker and as a superstar that they are, like you're right. It's a cheat code. It's a cheat code. You can literally tell your teammates, you can tell your coaching staff, like, hey, when they call this is what they're running. When they send a player over here, this is what they're looking to get. I like that Shaman's been hooping tonight. That's great. That's fun. At least that's fun, right? I'm looking at the box score now. They have what? 5-point lead, 89-83. Achua has 16, Payne has 19, McBride has 17, Shamet has 22 off the bench. Our leading scorer, Landry Shamet, baby. I mean, not off the bench, because Mikal Bridges fouled immediately and then subbed out of the game. Shamet's played 31 minutes, the most amount of any other player on the court. I just need more Dadier. I need more McCullough. McCullough got some minutes here in that third quarter. We're starting the fourth quarter now. McCullough still remains in. Where's my man Dadier? Kolek subs in. Get Dadier in the game, man. $89-83. Johnson gets another layup. Yak said, go eat, Susan can run things. I appreciate you, Susan. But unless you have access to my computer here, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I mean, we got 12 minutes of basketball left. I could hold down another 30 minutes or so. Not that big of a deal. It's just a weird start time because, like, 11:30, 12 o'clock hit, and I'm setting up for the game, which is usually, like, when you would eat lunch. And then I'm setting up for the game, and then it's like, oh, well, I can't go make lunch or anything, so I'm just going to set everything up and then hang out for the 20, 30 minutes before the game starts. And I didn't eat breakfast because I'm not much of a breakfast guy. And now I'm sitting here like, damn, no lunch, no breakfast. I'm ready. I'm ready to eat and relax the rest of the day. Stuff Genetic said, hate to say it, but the West is taking that chip. Unless we get there, of course. Yeah, I mean, Boston is still going to have a chance. I'm still iffy on Cleveland. Boston, hey, man. You know what, though? Boston, in the 2 games, I watched the 2 games they played against OKC. If OKC ends up, and they're likely the favorite, obviously. If OKC ends up being the finals opponent, they kind of had Boston's number a little bit. They guard them extremely well. But the playoffs are a different beast. Playoffs are a different beast. We'll see how it pans out for them. McCullough has it. You should have just shot that pull-up 3, McCullough. I need McCullough to just jack up shots, man. That's what we're here for. Kolek a cross-court pass to Tucker, a left corner 3. All right, Tucker. Way to knock it down, buddy. It is, what, 92-86. Mark said, gonna get some sushi? Oh, I love sushi, man. My only issue with sushi is that it doesn't fill me up at all. I could have a million pieces of sushi. It's not, I don't know what it is. It doesn't fill me up at all. Shaman, another 3, baby. Landry Shaman, I love, man. I love Landry Shaman. This is the Landry Shaman I thought we were going to get all year. This man is refusing to miss right now. Yak said, LeBron is garbage as a man. The retired players hate him for many reasons, and sleeping with Kobe's wife soon after the accident. You gotta stop reading the tabloids, Yak. I don't know if that's real. I don't know if that's real, nor do I care. Not gonna lie. Golek get a 3. Hey, Tyler Golek get a 3. The dog catcher said, you need marathon runners, gel energy 2s for through lunchtime games. True. True. Hey, I could go get some snacks. I mean, I got goldfish literally sitting right here. But I want some food. I want some food. You know? I want a meal. Right? Literally anything. Like a something with protein. Something that you could eat. I got snacks. I could eat some snacks right now, but I don't want snacks. I want some food. I want some food. Dope Jennings said, damn, I was right on Shaman, wrong on Kolek. What was your opinion on Kolek? What do you mean wrong on Kolek? Do you mean like he's good and you thought he was going to be bad? Or do you mean you thought he was going to be good and he's been bad? Lorenzo, what's up, Lorenzo? Mike said, I'm looking at Boston and LA to be the last 2, although I hate to say that. I don't think the Lakers are going to. I don't think the Lakers are going to make it to a conference finals or a finals. Maybe they can make it to a conference final. I don't think they're going to make it to a finals. Bron's too old. Luka doesn't play defense. They don't have a center. I think they're going to get exploited a little bit in a 7-game series. We'll see. We'll see. You know, maybe LeBron knowing that it's every other night can turn back the clock and go back to being literally one of the most unguardable players in NBA history. So maybe you can do that, especially playing alongside of Luka. So Jenny said LA seems to have that narrative and energy behind them. True. True. Gigi said oxtail popping. What did I miss? Not much. I mean, we're not really getting much from the young guys, which is unfortunate. Kolek just hit a 3. He's got 5 points. Kevin McCullough's playing a bunch. He's got 2 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. He fills the stat sheet. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. In 12 minutes, he's filling the stat sheet, which is fun. Mark said, later y'all see y'all in the playoffs. Let's change these vibes. Absolutely, Mark. I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you. Sean Collins. What's up, Sean? Will you be paying attention to the Clips Dubs game? The Clippers Warriors game today? No. We can go around the not the NBA, ESPN. We can go around the league a little bit though. If you're interested, Sean, if you're interested in the Warriors Clippers game, we can go through it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Did it start yet? It's a late game, 3:30. Well, late game. It's the second half of the day game. No, I'm not going to be paying attention. When this game ends, I'm going to end the stream, and I'm going to go eat something, and maybe take a midday nap, because that'll be it for my Sunday. I'm going to have to get ready for Monday morning work. So. Stove Jennings said, predicted Kolek would double-double this game. Well, what's he sitting at now? McCullough, another rebound, by the way. Kolek, 5 points, 4 assists. It's not out of the realm of possibility if he plays this whole fourth quarter. We know he can rack up some assist numbers. It's definitely the scoring he'd have to get to. I'm upset we still have no Dadier again. McCullough's going to look to attack, stop, pump fake, leans in again, spins again, gets blocked that time. I mean, welcome to the NBA, McCullough. That's not going to work. Worked in college, probably works in the G League. That ain't going to work in the NBA, man. Mr. New York said, let's bring it on home. I'm waiting for the day they bring that Larry O'Brien home, man. Waiting for the day they bring Larry home. Nick Yak said, they have a picture of them on a balcony in night clothes? Oh. Hey, all right. We also live in the era of AI Yak. Could be fake. Again, I don't know, and I don't care. I care about basketball. Literally means nothing to me. Gigi said, if the finals are between the Lakers and Boston, then the NBA has to be investigated. It's by design. Man, that is literally NBA history. The NBA is not going to be investigated by anybody. Shaman off the back rim. If he would have made that three, it would have popped off. You know. The league classifies itself, all these sports leagues, baseball, basketball, and football, all classify themselves as sports entertainment leagues rather than classifying themselves as sports leagues. Because as an entertainment league, you are not subjected to making things fair and not having some level of interference. So if you are classifying your business as an entertainment business and not a sports business, then you are not beholden to the responsibility of making things fair across the table. I will simply leave that statement there. Nick Yak said, boy, was I wrong on Shamit. Never thought he would be in the playoffs rotation. I mean, he didn't give us any reason to believe he would. You know, we were all wrong on Shamit because we were all sitting here going, man, this guy's terrible. Because we watched the games and he was terrible. He was bad. He was unplayable. And Tom Thibodeau, you know, there's a positive from Tom Thibodeau. He's stuck with him. And now he's on fire right now, literally right on time for the playoffs to start. So that's something Tom Thibodeau's done positively this year. He's stuck behind a guy who we were all like, no, send him to the bench, get him out of here, put the rookie Dottier in, you know, especially me. You know, I have rants on here where I was like, hey, put the rookie Dottier in there. So, you know, it's very encouraging and exciting that he has figured it out. He's figured it out, which is great. Mark said, teacher, spring break this week? My dad's a teacher too. And man, is he looking forward to his spring break. Yak said, go play with the dogs? Yeah, I'll probably go eat. They'll bother me because it's, around 4 is around the time they want to play. So we'll play. It's too wet to take them out and have them run around outside. So we'll probably just stay in that. It's a Sunday. It's a lazy Sunday. I'm going to go hang out with the dog. You're right, Yak. I'm going to go hang out with the dogs. DCL loves then betting should be banned. They make too much money off of betting. It is all about profit and entertainment. Right? That is all it is about. And if betting drives profit margins, they are going to push betting to the moon. Right? I'm not big on betting or anything like that. I dabble in it every now and again. I think it's interesting. I don't think I've ever put in a bet more than $5 because it is tough times, man. I don't have a bunch of money to play around with like that, but it's interesting. It's fun. Feel like I know enough about the league where it's like, oh, I think that's definitely going to happen. But yeah, man, sports betting it's not great. You know, part of the reason why I haven't partnered with any of the betting apps that have definitely reached out, only because I'm just not comfortable doing it right now. Maybe at some point in the future we do it and we have some sort of partnership, but right now I just don't feel comfortable doing it. Shaman came out of the game for Marjan Beauchamp and probably ends his night there with 25 points, 7 for 11 from 3. Hell yeah. Justice's dad said, do you watch golf? Not one bit. I know the Masters are on, but no, I can't watch golf. I can't even keep up with it. I find it excruciatingly boring. I don't know if it's because I'm a younger generation and obviously as our generations get younger and younger and younger, our attention spans get smaller and smaller and smaller with the advent of technology and how attention is privatized at this point, or commercialized, I should say. But I just can't pay attention to it at all. Mind wanders too much. Justice's dad said, thanks for everything you have done on this channel, Chef. Really appreciate you. I appreciate you, man. I literally would have stopped doing this a while ago if it was, 15, 20 of us, the way it was 3 years ago, 10, 15 of us every night. And I was doing it there, it was like, it was fun, but it was just the thing I did because I was watching the games anyway. Now it's a thing I do because you guys are waiting in the room to hang out with. And it's like, I get to watch Knicks games with Knicks fans. That's awesome. That's awesome. Because if not, I would be sitting in a dark room watching games. And sports are supposed to be a communal thing, right? That's kind of how they've always been throughout human history. Sports are a thing that's supposed to bring people together. And, with the way we have everything set up now, where we could watch any game we want on TV in our homes, you don't even have to go to a bar anymore to watch the games. You can just stay at home and watch any NBA game. So finding a way to make a communal again has been fun and worth it. It's been fun and worth it. DCL Love said, I listen to you because you're not bought and sold by Vegas. I appreciate you. DCL Love. I haven't entirely ruled out, never doing some sort of partnership with a betting app. It would just have to be one that I think is fun. And, it's just really hard for me to promote betting app when I know how financially difficult things are right now for everybody. Myself included. Like, it's like, I don't have a ton of money to just throw around and have fun with like that. And I would just feel wrong. I don't ask you guys for super chats. I don't ask you guys to become members. I don't have a Patreon or anything like that. So it would just feel weird for me to all of a sudden be like, hey, also give $50 to the sports betting app. It would just feel weird for me to do. Unless you have a ton of expendable money, I don't think you should be betting, right? Gigi said, I was hoping for the Knicks 53, 54 games at least. That would have been an improvement. Yeah, I think that's why you classify the season as a disappointment. You definitely classify the season as a disappointment. Sitting at the same amount of wins you had last season feels like a step back, Yeah, I said $5 on the Knicks trip returns $150. Hey man, if you got $5 to burn, go ahead. Crazier things have happened. I can't believe Tom Thibodeau is not going to put Dadier back in the game. Hey, what is PJ Tucker doing out there? Gigi said, actually golf is good. I started playing 2 years ago, setting up for retirement. I think golf is fun to play. I've never played a full round of golf. I've played silly things. Like I've gone to the driving range. I've done mini golf, like putting stuff. I think golf is fun to play. It's just not fun to watch, And maybe it would be more fun to watch in person, but that's like an elitist group, That's like, you got to have money and you got to know people in order to be able to watch like the Masters live, or in person, I should say. Subject said, they made a huge adjustment bringing in Cap. Third seed respectable. Third seed is respectable, for sure. I don't think anybody's upset that they're just the third seed, that they didn't catch the Celtics for the 2 seed, but I think it's just how the season has gone, the way they've lost to all of the elite teams, the 0-10 record versus the top 2 seeds, or whatever that caveat is. Like it's just, when you take everything into account and everything into consideration, it's been disappointing. It's been disappointing. You would have thought that when they assembled this team that they would have at least been competitive against these teams, but they weren't really competitive against the Cavs for a majority of the year, and they weren't really competitive with the Celtics for a majority of the year. Okay, he said last season had so many injuries, and this season was so healthy. Definitely a disappointment to have the same wins. Yeah. Last season they were punching above their weight class. It's a phrase I've said multiple times today. They were punching above their weight class after all the injuries that they had to suffer through. And it was like, hey man, nobody would blame this team if they lost more games than they ended up doing. And they fought and they scratched and they pulled their ways to 50. They pulled themselves to 50 wins, and it was like, wow, look at this team, scratching and clawing their way to 50 wins. And this season, it just felt like, we'll settle for 50 wins. When it definitely felt like they could have had more. Like they left some on the table. It feels like. Yeah, like I said, football Sundays are our favorite sports bar where fun in the day. Yeah, I mean, it's just not really a thing anymore either, though, I mean, maybe it is, and I'm just not going to the right bars or anything, but going out to watch a game just doesn't feel like it's a thing that people want to do a lot, especially even after COVID. I think a lot of people are just really comfortable staying at home, especially now with the advent of Red Zone and all those things, Red Zone, and if you have the NFL season ticket package, you get every single NFL game that you could want. Like I have that on my YouTube TV account, and I could watch any NFL game I want. So why would I go to the bar and watch whatever game that they have on? We got 5.5 minutes left to go in this game. The Knicks have a 5-point lead. I'm upset we have no Dadier in the game. You guys know he's my favorite rookie. I'm happy we get to see a bunch of McCullough, though, and I think he's distinguished himself a bit, especially defensively. But, yeah, like I said, we lost no games to Cleveland or Boston with Cat, Brunson, and Mitch. I see what you did there, Yak. I see what you did there. Very fair. Very fair. It's a factual statement for sure. Hey man, maybe they're holding the surprise in and they show out in the second round. That's the hope. That's the only thing we have left to hang on to. Gigi said, all reality, we should have close to 62 wins. We lost games that we had no business losing. Yeah, they also won some games off the back of Jalen Brunson just putting the Superman cape on in really close games. And it's like, hey, if the ball bounces a different way, as McCullough gets a layup to go, he looks athletic out there. I like seeing McCullough play. He's going to be part of the rotation next season, man. He's going to be part of the rotation for sure. What was I talking about? The games things. Yeah, they lost some games that they definitely should have won. They also won some games that they probably should have lost. So I think in all of it, it kind of evens out, right? Kind of evens out. But Stuff Genetics said, that's why I think they'll be better in the postseason. You hope so, right? You hope so. Shaman is back in for some reason. Jeez, man. Jeez. Why did we bring Shaman back in? Why can't you just close with young kids? Why would you put the veterans back in? Who cares? This is a showcase game, Tibbs. Ay. 105, 103, 4 minutes to go. Stove Jenny said, Mitch is healthy now. He is. He played 32 minutes the other night. So, ready to go for the playoffs, man. The most amount of minutes he's played all season. Came in after the injury on a minutes restriction, was playing around 10 to 15 minutes a night. Played 32 minutes the other night. So, pretty much, I would assume restrictions are off. And let's do it. Let's do it. Throw him in the starting lineup with Towns. I think you have to make a change. I don't know if Tom Thibodeau will make a change because making a change in game one of the postseason when you didn't try it at all in the regular season is crazy. But it's a lineup you should definitely go to. The lineup you should definitely go to. Yak said, stopped going once DirecTV had all the games. Yeah, a lot of people did. A lot of people did. It used to be a thing, right, Yak? It used to be a thing. It's like, hey, what are your plans tonight? Oh, the Knicks are playing, so I'm going to head down to the bar or whatever, wherever it was. Some local restaurants had it where they had like watch parties and whatnot. But it was like, yeah, I'm just going to head down to the bar and they'll have the Knicks game on and I'll have a drink. And then other Knicks fans will be there to also watch the game. And then you would mingle with them. And it was a communal thing. It's like we were, as sports fans, as basketball fans, as Knicks fans, we would gather around and watch a game. I didn't know you, you didn't know me, but we share this one common interest, and so we're just gonna hang out. And that doesn't happen anymore. And I think a cool thing about streaming like this is, we could still be in our homes, and we could still enjoy it in the comfort of our own homes with our really nice TVs and our really comfortable couches or chairs or however you watch the game, but still be able to hang out with each other. And I think that's a really cool thing that we get to do now. Stubjanic and Mike Malone might be with the Sixers next year. I don't know if Mike Malone even wants that job. Why would he want that job? Who wants the Sixers job? Embiid's never healthy. Paul George is a 4-year max deal and looks like he doesn't care about being a good basketball player anymore. Who wants that job? I mean, you have Maxey, which is great. You have Jared McCain, who's going to be great. You'll have another high draft pick this season, which assumably is going to come in and be great. So there's some fun things, but unless you can get off of Embiid and Paul George, that team is doomed, man. That team is doomed. We have 3:30 left, y'all. We almost made it. It's a 2-point game. 105-103. And the Knicks, the only rookie we have out there is McCullough, so we're going to focus in on McCullough. Good box out and rebound from McCullough. I love it. I love it. Stuff Genetics said, don't sleep on a rim protection with Mitch. Oh, I'm all about it, Stuff Genetics. I love Mitch. I'm sure you guys have heard it a million times, but Mitchell Robinson is my favorite player on the team. By far. It's not even close. It's not even close. He's my favorite player on the team. Love that guy. Shaman another three. Can't get that one to go. McCullough fighting for the rebound, and they call a loose ball foul in the Nets. All right. Oh, man, Kevin McCullough Jr. fighting for it. Fighting for it. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So I definitely don't sleep on it. If anything, I overhype it. But since Mitchell Robinson has returned from his injury, the Knicks were a top 10 defense. Self-Jennings said, the Sixers are stupid, and so is he who works. Mike Malone? What's with the Mike Malone slander? I mean, it's not like Nick Nurse is a bad coach. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. If I were the Sixers, they put themselves in this situation, but if I'm playing 2K and I pick the Sixers, my immediate, you could just turn injuries off, so you wouldn't necessarily do this, but I would trade Embiid, I would trade Paul George, and I would build my team around Maxey, McCain, and whatever first-round pick they're going to select this year. And that's where I would go on a rebuild. Obviously, they're not going to be able to trade Embiid because they just signed him to a max extension. They're not going to be able to trade Paul George because they just signed him to a max contract last offseason. So they're kind of stuck. Gigi said, that's what I tell Knicks fans. We always had good PGs, but did not utilize them correctly. They didn't have a good point guard for that 20-year stretch in the 2000s until Brunson got here. McCullough able to pick up the loose ball. And a nice steal. 2:30 to go, y'all. We're almost out of here. Yak said, in the 70s and early 80s, would go to someone's house to watch Saturday Night Live with a group of friends. Yeah, even watch parties like that are pretty rare. Even for, television shows. Like the community aspect of television shows, of watching it together now, is like live tweeting the show as you're watching it live. But also another thing that sucks about it is these streaming services will put out a show and will put out all the episodes and expect you to binge watch them all. It's like, no, man, just release them once a week. I don't have 6 hours to watch your whole show. I have 1 hour tonight. I have to wake up early in the morning. So let me watch one episode and then drop another episode next week. So, color in the lane, kicks it out to a wide open Shamit. Can't get it to go down. Mike said the Sixers are in a full rebuild mode. They can be in full rebuild mode. They have max money guaranteed to Embiid and Paul George. You can't rebuild with those guys on your team. They're kind of stuck. They're stuck in a spot where they have to compete next year. And look, maybe Paul George will turn it around and figure out what he needs to do with that team, and maybe Embiid will have a healthy year. But people have been literally saying that the entire Sixers run. McCullough drives it down, throws a lob to Achua, can't handle it, gets it back in the paint, bully balling his way up, gets blocked. 109, 105, a minute to go. Forgot to give the Knicks their points. And an offensive foul on Keon Johnson and the Nets, and the ball's going to go back to the Knicks, and they're likely going to pull this one out, which is cool. It's cool. They got the 51 wins. Chi said, Kevin is playing Tibbs basketball. Will get some burn moving forward. I don't know if he'll get burned in the playoffs. Maybe he will. I doubt it. But he'll definitely be a rotation player next year. Because it's unlikely Shamit comes back. It's unlikely Campaign comes back. But it's unlikely DeLon Wright comes back. But I expect Kevin McCullough to get some real playing time with the Knicks next year as like their 7th, 8th, or 9th man. McCullough's going to fire a 3, knock me down, airballs it. But DeLon Wright right there for the offensive rebound and put back, and that should be the nail in the coffin. 50 seconds to go. Gigi said, Embiid is coming to New York. Brother, what? What? Keep Embiid as far away from New York. Unless you're talking about Brooklyn, unless you're talking about these Nets right here, keep that man as far away as possible. Self Jennings said, still got Goose, picked up, still have Deuce, picked up Cam and Kolek, we're good. I hope so. I hope so. "28 seconds to go. Knicks have a 6-point lead, and they had the ball. Just run out the time. DeLon Wright called the timeout. Brother, we're trying to get out of here, DeLon Wright. What are you doing? Tibbs, what are you doing? Yeah, I said people in the day got together for All in the Family. Yeah, man, it used to be an event to watch TV shows, primetime television shows. Now, there are no more primetime television shows. Now, people refer to them as prestige TV shows, and it's like things like Severance, and it's all these streaming shows. It's like Severance, Now. Game of Thrones was one of the last ones where I think people legitimately got together for that. I remember my sister telling me about it. I never watched Game of Thrones, but I remember my sister telling me, like, yeah, oh no, a couple friends coming over. We're going to watch the new Game of Thrones tonight. I think that's the last one I can remember where it was a big deal when an episode was coming out. And I miss that. I miss that. Gigi said, Chef, we haven't argued tonight. Spice it up. Nah, man. Tonight's just chill. Tonight's just chill. We're gonna bring the spice and the fire for Game 1 against the Pistons. I'm saving it all for Game 1 against the Pistons. Also, you can't argue with somebody on an empty stomach. You can't do it. I don't got the energy for it. Alyssa Lester said the Knicks will be in the playoffs. Yes, they will. April 19th is when the playoffs start. We'll see when they schedule the next game. It could be the 19th. It could be the 20th, but we'll see. Shammy gets a nice easy layup. It is now 113-105 with 24 seconds to go. Run the clock out. Get a shot up. Do your thing. Brooklyn. And McCullough with the rebound. And that's going to end it, y'all. And I appreciate y'all for a fully completed Season 3 of the Sheffy Show, where we come together and we watch Knicks games together. I appreciate y'all. I really, really do. We hung out for the entirety of this game, for the entirety of this meaningless, horrific, terrible game. So I appreciate y'all, man. I really, really do. Yak said, was hilarious, especially with the original crew, Belushi, Aykroyd, Bill Murray, Jane Curtin, yeah. But that's going to be it. Knicks pick up the win. They got 51 wins. They technically improved on their record that they had last year. Improved by 1 game. And before we head out, for the diehard of diehard Knicks fans who showed out tonight to hang out, let me go ahead and do this. Hopefully. Now maybe I can. Can I do this? Can I not do that? I can do this, I think. Just as a thank you to y'all, let's get this guy out of here. This bot over here. Just for y'all. 85 of us still in here. Send out the gift for the memberships. I appreciate y'all, man. Hopefully y'all get gifted. See Tyler, I appreciate you. Mr. New York, I appreciate you. There it is. 20 gifted memberships to y'all. I will say, working in the background on getting some kind of merch stuff together. Working in the background about setting up a Discord so we can talk as the day goes on, whether you go into it, don't want to go into it, whatever. I'll make it part of the membership tier. But just sending out the gift chats to everybody. Thanks for hanging. Like I said, the most diehard. You guys stuck in for the final game 82 of the regular season. When this game didn't matter. I don't think I called a single play of the game tonight. We just talked about whatever we wanted to talk about. I ranted about Tibbs for a while. So I appreciate y'all. Hope you got the membership. So you get that little badge next to your name so you can show like, nah man, I was there. I was there for every single game this year. So I appreciate y'all for hanging in here with me. And I'll see you guys on, this is still going to pop off. I'll see you guys on April 19th or April 20th. We'll see. We'll see whenever they schedule the playoffs. We'll obviously talk about it. We'll likely do some of the play-in games. I'll pick the best play-in games to do, and we'll do some of those. So I appreciate y'all. We'll see each other again before the Knicks play. But obviously, we'll be there for game 1 of the playoffs. When the Knicks take on the Pistons, first game will obviously be in the Gardens. The Knicks have home court advantage. Hopefully, it'll be a good time. But until then, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for hanging out with me. We got K. Hazy, Stealth Genetics, Justice's dad. Carl Jean-Baptiste was in here. What's up, Carl? We got gifted. Big Rudd got gifted. Marilyn Sisley got gifted. Frank, what's up, Frank? Appreciate you. Nick Yak. Everybody. C. Tyler, Mr. New York. Stealth Genetics, K. Hazy, Charlie, Chi-Chi, Alyssa Lester, Mike, Stealth Genetics. Everybody, I appreciate y'all, man. Thanks for hanging out with me. And I'll see y'all soon. Season's not over yet. Regular season's over, but now the real season starts. We've been waiting for the playoffs all year long, so I appreciate y'all. It's not nighttime, but I'll still hit you with the remember to get a good night's sleep. Remember to brush your teeth before bed. And remember, most importantly, stay hydrated. It's the best way to stay healthy. So I appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all soon. I'm out. I'm going to go eat something. Bye.